The model of the lost rocket from the deceased red-bearded traitor Richard Haller, Superman finds that now his troubles are only beginning. For when he returned to the Metropolis Daily Planet in his guise of Clark Kent, mild-mannered and bespectacled reporter, Lois Lane struck him and Editor Perry White speechless by saying,
Clark Kent is Superman.
Now, steadying himself against his desk, Kent forces a sickly smile to his lips, and Editor White stands by open-mouthed as Lois, pointing her finger dramatically at Kent, hammers home her charge.
You are Superman. Yes, you, Clark Kent. You're Superman.
I am?
You bet you are. Why, I should have guessed it long ago. I don't see how I didn't. It was right under my nose all the time.
What kind of rubbish is this, Lois?
It's true, Chief, and he knows it. Just look at his face. Did you ever see a guiltier expression?
Guilty? Well, why should he look guilty?
Well, kind of took the wind out of you, didn't I, Clark?
Oh, now look.
I dare you to deny it.
Oh, stop this nonsense, Lois. We've got a paper to get out.
Yes, you're right, Chief. I have to polish up my story on the lost rocket, so I better get right over...
No, you don't, Clark. You stay
Well,
right where you are.
Lois,
Chief
will you
said-
stop this kidding around, or
I'm
must
not kidding, I tell you, Chief. I can prove what I said.
Ridiculous.
Now-
Oh, I can't wait anymore.
No, wait, Chief. Wait a minute. Lois really seems to be serious. I think I'd like to hear what she has to say.
I thought you
Great
would.
Caesar's ghost. Do you two realize we go to press in an hour?
What I have to tell you about Clark, Chief, is worth holding the presses for.
Really? Well, it's not every day I receive an honor like this. Go ahead, Lois.
All right. Now, a few nights ago, Haller and his gang trapped you and me in the rocket pit under his barn. Right? You admit that, don't you?
Well, of course.
And you admit that when they were coming down into the pit after us, a huge fire broke out, and we were caught right in the middle of it.
Why, yes.
Fire? Oh, yes, when the original Superman rocket burned up. But you didn't say in your story that you and Lois were caught in it, Kent.
Oh, well, as long as we got away, I didn't think it was particularly important.
You didn't think it was important?
No,
What kind of a newspaper reporter are you?
Well,
and how in tarnation did you get out of that alive?
I'll tell you how, Chief. Clark became Superman and saved us.
Kent became Superman?
That's right. He
You,
did.
you saw me become Superman, Lois?
Well, no, not exactly.
Well, then why do you say that I
because
became...
you made me put your coat over my head, you remember, to protect me from the smoke.
Well, yes, but that was
I guess
just-
I passed out for a few minutes, but when I came to, I was in a doctor's house several miles away, and the doctor told me that Superman had brought me there.
So what?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. How does that prove that Kent is Superman?
Well, don't you see, Chief? One moment I was trapped in the middle of a roaring fire. Only Clark was there with me. And one moment later I was several miles away in a doctor's house. So, Clark must be Superman.
Yeah, and I'm the King of England.
Oh, Chief.
Now, look, you said you passed out for a few minutes, didn't you?
Yes, of course.
Well, then Superman showed up, grabbed you and Kent out of the fire, and took you to the doctor's. That right, Kent?
Mm-hmm, that's about it.
But he wasn't there a second before.
He's
and
never there a second before.
But I don't...
He pops up like that. And disappears the same way. You know that.
Sure.
Kent, Superman. I'm surprised at you, Lois.
Now, wait a minute, Chief. I know that this time...
Oh, wait till I tell Inspector Henderson about this.
I thought I was unmasked at last.
Well, tell me this, then. Why should Superman suddenly turn up there, of all the places in the whole world, just in time to save my life? Why?
Well, now, wait a minute, Lois. Look, I'll tell you. Haller had the Superman rocket, the most destructive weapon in the world, right? He was planning to sell it to foreign agents. Now, doesn't it seem reasonable that Superman would be on Haller's trail?
Well, yes, but...
No, but nothing. You had a brainstorm, Lois. And what a brainstorm. Come on. Now, recess is over. Come into my office. I've got a big job for you, two.
Okay. Shall we walk, Miss Lane, or would you like me to fly you across the city room?
Oh.
I'll give her a break, Ken. Don't rub it in.
Okay.
I'm still not so sure that I was wrong.
Just between us, Lois, you weren't.
Oh, that's rich.
All right, laugh. Go on. But maybe one of these days
Stop
I'll be...
it. I'm weak from laughing. Well, here we are.
Okay, go ahead and be a wise guy, but don't say I didn't warn you.
What's that, Beanie? Warn whom about what?
I just...
Uh-oh. What's going on here, Beanie?
Oh, nothing, Mr. White, nothing.
Nothing. Well, what's the idea of closing the door in my face?
I'm sorry, Mr. White. I gotta do something right away.
What goes on here?
Well, we'll soon find out. You come into my office.
This is going to be something.
Yes, that Beanie's done something that he... what's that?
Jimmy.
Olson! Get your feet off my desk.
Easy, Chief, easy.
What's the meaning of this impertinence?
Come in, Perry, old boy. Come
Oh,
in.
boy.
Perry.
You're just the lad I want to see. You too, Clark.
Clark.
Well, I'll be...
And Lois.
Oh, all the unmitigated, inconceivable, bold,
Pull up
brassy...
chairs and rally round. There's big business on tap. Yes, sir, big business.
Now, look here, Olson. I'll give you just 1 second to take your feet off my desk and get out of my chair.
Now, Perry.
Jimmy, what's the matter with you?
Come on, Jim. This is no longer funny.
Funny? Oh, yes, it's very funny. You see, now I'm the...
Olson, if you don't move out of there right now, I'll...
Chief, be careful.
Now, take it easy, Perry. Calm down. You don't seem to realize who you're talking to.
Why, you insolent little whippersnapper.
Wait a minute, Chief. Hold it. Take it easy. Now, look, Jim, the gag's gone far enough. Now, wise up before you get into serious trouble.
No, you'd better wise up, Clark. I don't like your tone.
What?
Clark, there must be something wrong with the boy.
Let me go, Kent. I'm going to throw that pipsqueak out of my office.
Chief, no, wait.
Kent, if you don't take your hands off
Chief,
me...
please,
Relax,
Chief.
will you? I'll admit Jim has let his sense of humor run away with him, but that's no reason...
Sense of humor? I'll teach him about humor.
Now,
Stop it, both of you. Stop it at once, do you hear? What kind of a disgraceful exhibition is this to put on? And in the office of your new publisher.
Publisher?
Why, I ought to fire the three of you.
What? New publisher?
Why, he's crazy.
Must be something wrong with him. Listen, Jim.
No, you listen to me, all of you. I'm in the saddle now. Me, James Olson. And from now on, when I crack the whip, you jump.
What are you
Say,
talking
what is
about?
You're a little surprised, aren't you? You never thought I'd be your boss, did you, Perry?
My boss? What, I must be dreaming.
I know I am.
Now, look here, Jim. This has gone far enough, so suppose
No,
you tell us...
I always liked you, Clark, so I'm going to give you a break.
Break?
Mm-hmm. I'm making you managing editor and putting Perry back on the police beat.
What?
Oh, for the...
As for you, Lois...
For heaven's sake, stop it. Stop this before I go mad. I don't know why I'm even listening to you, but just tell me what you mean by all this.
Well, I'd be glad to. Now, suppose you all sit down and I...
What the...
Jimmy, what's the matter?
Aren't you well, Jim?
He's falling. Catch him, somebody.
I've got him.
Great Caesar, he's fainted.
Jim.
Quick, get some water. Get some water,
Jim.
somebody.
What is it, Clark?
Uh-oh. Look at this lump on the back of his head.
Good heavens.
Is he?
He's hardly breathing. I'm afraid he's... This is serious. Very serious.
Beanie, Miss Blacklight, somebody, get some water. Hurry.
Now, as White rushes from the office calling for water, Kent snaps a command to Lois.
Phone Jim's mother, Lois. Tell her to come to the Metropolis Hospital. Fast.
All right, Clark. Oh, wait a minute. Hadn't we better call a doctor first?
I'll take care of that. Run outside and tell Miss Backrack to get Mrs. Olson on the phone for you. Hurry.
Okay, I will. All right. Good.
And shut the door after you, Lois. We don't want a crowd in here.
Right, Clark.
Now, out of these clothes fast. This is a job for Superman. Oh, poor Jim. If only I'm not too late. There we are, all set. Up with him now. Raise this window. Up and away!
Leaping out through a window of Perry White's office with the limp form of Jimmy Olsen cradled in his arms, Superman streaks away through the skies to the Metropolis Hospital, his brilliant red cape streaming in the wind. A short time later, once more in his guise of Clark Kent, he is pacing a corridor on the third floor of the hospital when Perry White and Lois Lane arrive breathlessly in response to his telephone call.
There he is. What happened, Kent? What happened?
Not so
how'd
loud,
you get
Chief.
here?
Not so loud. You're in a hospital.
I know, but tell me.
How did you get here, Clark? We were only out of the office a minute. and
I'll
you were...
explain later, Lois. Right now, I'm worried about Jim.
Well, where is he?
In the operating room.
Huh?
Operating room?
Yes, he... well, you might as well know it. He's in pretty bad shape.
Well, what is it? What's the matter with him?
He has a fractured skull.
A fractured skull?
That's why he was talking so strangely before he collapsed.
Yes, of course. He didn't know what he was saying.
But how did it happen?
I don't know, Lois. He was still unconscious when I got him here, so I couldn't ask him.
The poor kid. He must have been in an accident.
I don't think so, Chief.
Why, he must have been, Clark.
It's impossible, Lois. You see, there's a huge lump directly on top of his head.
What does that prove?
Well, when you're hit by a car, you don't usually land on the very top of your head.
Yes, that's true.
Besides, there would undoubtedly be other cuts or bruises on him, and his clothes would be torn or soiled anyway.
Well, you're right about that.
Yes, but then what do you think did happen to him?
And I'm only guessing, Lois. But I think he was slugged.
What?
Well, now, as I say, I'm only guessing. We'll have to wait until Jim can tell us.
If he'll be able to tell us.
If? Oh, Chief, you don't think Jimmy might...
No, Lois, it sounds bad.
Doctors say he has a 50-50 chance. Not much better.
I can't believe it.
Oh, his mother ought to be here. Why didn't somebody call her?
I tried to, Chief, but nobody answered the phone. I told Miss Backrack to keep calling until she got it out.
Good. Now, look, Kent. Who's operating on Jim?
Dr. Springer.
Ah, good man. How long has Jim been in there?
About an hour.
That's a long time.
Oh, dear. Oh, if anything happens to Jimmy...
Steady, Lois, steady. Oh, here comes Dr. Springer. Doctor, how is Jim Olson?
Did he pull through?
Is he all right, Doctor?
Frankly, the boy's in a very serious condition.
Oh, good heavens.
Oh, we'll do something for him. Call specialist, whatever you need.
Easy,
but,
Chief, easy.
We're doing everything we can. He's anemic now, and he needs a blood transfusion at once. However, we're having difficulty finding a donor.
Oh, what's so difficult about that? He can have my blood.
And
It
mine.
isn't quite that simple, my friends. Tell me, do you happen to know what type blood you have?
Well, yes, I do. I gave blood to the Red Cross during the war. I'm type O.
I'm type A.
No, neither of you will do. Miss Olson has ABRH negative, extremely rare type. I've already tried donors from Group O and AB. They're incompatible. We need the exact type, unless we find it, and very soon.
What about the Red Cross? Have you tried them?
Yes, Mr. Kent. They're checking their lists. We must face the fact that ABRH negative is very rare. Very few people have
Yes,
it.
I know.
Wait a minute. How about putting an ad in the paper?
That's a good idea, Lois. The Daily Planet goes to press it. Well, let's see. Yeah, in 50 minutes. I'll put a box on page 1. I'll offer $10,000 to anyone who has that type blood.
No, we can't wait that long, Mr. White. Unless we do a transfusion in the next 20 minutes. 30 at the outside.
What?
Well, Olson
Oh,
will...
Chief, we just got to do
Oh,
something.
20 minutes. That doesn't even give us time enough to make a radio appeal.
Hardly. No, I'm afraid...
Now, look, Dr. Springer, phone the Red Cross again and ask them not to limit their search to Metropolis. Tell them if there's anyone on their lists with Jim's type of blood, no matter where that person is, I'll see that he's brought here in time.
Oh, Clark.
What are you talking about,
Now,
Kent?
please, Doctor, do as I say. Hurry.
Oh, stop that nonsense, Kent.
Now-
Stop it. This is no time.
It isn't nonsense, Chief. I mean it.
Dr. Springer,
Yes, what is it, nurse?
the Red Cross just phoned, sir.
Yes, what do they say?
They know of a man with ABRH negative, but...
Did you call him?
Yes, sir, I did. I called the number the Red Cross gave me. It was the Stanhope Apartments. But the clerk there said the party moved to California about 6 months ago.
Now, wait just a minute. Did you get the person's name and address in California, nurse?
Well, yes, but it's not enough time to...
Kent? What's the difference? There's no possible way to get the man across the continent in 20 minutes.
No, of
Now,
course
look, will
not.
you leave that to me? Nurse, what's the name and address?
Oh, forget it, Kent. We haven't enough time.
Here it is. Mr. George Jacoby, 212 Lemon Grove Avenue, Pasadena, California.
George Jacoby, 212 Lemon Grove, Pasadena.
Uh-huh.
Thanks.
Where are you going, Kent?
To get Mr. Jacoby.
Good heavens. Now he's gone, but...
I'll see you later. Now, where can I change? Oh, there's nobody in that room. There we are. Out of these clothes. This is definitely a job for Superman. Now, if all goes well, I'll have Mr. Jacoby back here in time to save Jim's life. There we are, all set. Let's raise this window. Up and away!
Yes?
How do you do?
Good heavens, who are you?
Now, don't be alarmed, madam. I'm Superman.
Superman?
That's right. This is Mr. Jacoby's residence, isn't it?
Why, yes. I'm Mrs. Jacoby.
You used to live in Metropolis at the Stanhope Apartments?
Yes, that's right. But
I must
whatever...
see your husband at once, Mrs. Jacoby. Where can I find him?
Why, I don't know why I should
Please
tell
tell
you.
me, Mrs. Jacoby. A boy's life depends on my locating your husband.
A boy's life?
Yes, I'm sorry I haven't time to explain now, but take my word for it. A boy's life is in danger, and only your husband can save him. Now, where can I find him?
You must have made a mistake. My husband isn't a doctor.
Oh, I know, Mrs. Jacoby, I know. But would you please tell me where he is? Every second counts.
Well, I don't know where he is.
You don't know?
No, I don't. George called up at lunchtime and said an important customer was in town, and he was going out with him for the entire afternoon.
Yes?
And might even be late for dinner.
Well, didn't he say where he was going?
No, he didn't.
Great Scott, Well, what'll I do now? Think, Mrs. Jacoby. Didn't your husband mention something that might give us a clue to where he is?
No, he didn't.
A restaurant. Or a club. Or some firm he does business with.
No, he didn't, Superman. He just said he was going out for the afternoon with his customer, and he might be late coming home for dinner.
Oh, I've got to find him, Mrs. Jacoby. I must. Now, look, perhaps someone in his office will know where he went. Where does he work?
George is sales manager for the Thompson Shoe Company on 4th and Spring Street in Los Angeles.
Thompson Shoe Company, 4th and Spring. Fine.
His secretary's name is Miss Timmy.
Thanks, Mrs. Jacoby. Oh, by the way, is that your husband's picture on the piano?
Yes, why?
Well, I just want to know him if I should see him. Goodbye, Mrs. Jacoby.
Goodbye.
Now to see Jacoby's secretary. Up and away! Try to remember, Miss Timmy. Are you sure Mr. Jacoby didn't say where he was going with his customer?
No, sir. He just said he wouldn't be back today.
I see. You say they left here about lunchtime?
That's right, Superman. They went out to play golf.
Oh? Where does Mr. Jacoby usually play? You should know that.
Well, yes. Let's see. Usually he goes to his club.
Which club?
Well, he belongs to the Pine Hill Club in Westwood.
Fine, I'll have a look there.
Wait, he sometimes plays Mr. Thompson's club. He's the president of our company.
Where's that?
The St. Andrews in Bel Air.
Okay, thanks again. I'll try them both.
Just a minute.
Yes?
He also plays at Long Beach sometimes. He likes the course there.
Oh, any place else?
No, I don't think so.
Thank goodness. So long. Well, Jacoby isn't on the Pine Hill course or in the clubhouse either. That leaves Bel Air and Long Beach, and only 10 minutes in which to find him and get him back to Metropolis. Away!
As Superman continues his desperate search for George Jacoby, Dr. Springer emerges from Jimmy Olsen's hospital room in Metropolis, 3,000 miles away. Editor Perry White walks forward anxiously to meet him.
Oh, Doctor. Doctor, how is the boy?
He's sinking, Mr. White. Sinking fast.
Oh, no. Oh, Doctor, do something. For heaven's sake, do something.
Unless we find a blood donor in the next few minutes, there's nothing we can do, I'm afraid.
Oh, great Caesar, there ought to be at least one person in the city of Metropolis with the same blood type as Jim's, no matter how rare it is. There are millions of people in this town.
Well, the Red Cross found only one.
Yes, and he's in California. And what good does that do?
None at all. Incidentally, what did Clark Kent mean when he said he had some sort of an idea for getting that fellow here from the coast?
No, Kent didn't know what he was talking about. He's all broken up. Well, you see, Doctor, all of us are very fond of Jim.
Of course. Say, what about Miss Lane's idea to make an appeal from your radio station for someone with Olsen's type blood?
Well, she's at the studio broadcasting an appeal with Jim's mother right now, but by the time she hears from anybody, if she does, and that person gets to the hospital...
I'm afraid it'll be too late, Mr. White. We've only got 5 or 10 minutes at most.
10 minutes? Oh, Doctor, isn't there anything else you can do to save that boy? Anything?
Not a thing. Unless I can give Olsen an immediate blood transfusion, there is nothing mortal man can do for him. Absolutely nothing.
Meanwhile, on a golf course in Long Beach, California, 2 men in sweaters and slacks are approaching the tee-off for the 12th hole.
Well, that par in the last hole puts you 2 up, Wilson. Looks like you're too good for me.
Want to concede the match, Jacoby?
No, sir, not a chance. I'll go down fighting.
That's the spirit.
Okay, go on, shoot.
Right. Say, listen to that wind.
It came up awful suddenly. Do you think we're in
Holy
for a storm?
smoke, look at this.
Excuse me, gentlemen.
What the...
Sorry to break up your game.
Well, who are you?
Superman.
Superman.
Right. Your name is George Jacoby, isn't it?
That's right.
Now, listen. A boy in Metropolis will die unless he receives a blood transfusion at once. Only you can save him, Mr. Jacoby.
I can?
Yes. According to Red Cross records, you have the same rare type blood he has. Are you willing to go back to Metropolis with me?
Why, yes, of course.
Wonderful. I knew you wouldn't refuse.
But you said he needs a transfusion at once. A plane will take hours.
I travel much faster than a plane, as you'll see. Come along. Up with you. There. Now, if only we're not too late. Up and away!
Well, Doctor?
Is he?
Olsen's approaching the crisis now. I can't be sure, of course, but I think he'll pass it safely.
Oh, that's fine.
Wonderful. I'll tell his mother and Lois. They're in the lounge.
Now, wait. If they're resting, I wouldn't disturb them till the crisis is over, Mr. White. As I say, I can't be sure Olsen will come through.
Under the circumstances, Chief, maybe it's best not to.
All right, I'll wait.
Olsen's been calling for you, Kent.
He has? You mean he's conscious?
It's just partly. He seems to have something on his mind. He keeps calling for you. Might help him come out of the coma if he hears your voice.
Oh, swell. I'll go in and talk to him.
Oh, may I come along, Doctor?
Yes, but be very quiet, please.
I will, yes.
All right, this way. Just let him talk, Kent. Don't say much.
Okay.
Mr. Kent.
Yes, Jim. I'm right here.
Got to stop him, Mr. Kent.
What's that? Quiet, Chief.
Got to stop him before it's too late.
Stop whom, Jim?
Stop him, Mr. Kent. Help me.
Yes, Jim.
Please help me.
What's the poor kid talking about?
I don't know, Chief, but I think he's trying to tell us about what happened to him.
Mr. Kent,
Yes, Jim.
please help me before it's too late.
Of course I'll help you, Jim. Just tell me... Jim.
He's lost consciousness again.
Is he... Will he be all right?
I can't tell. There's no change yet.
Oh, I wonder what the poor kid was trying to tell me.
Probably nothing. He was delirious.
No, Chief, I think he wanted to tell me something important. He wanted me to help him. Help him to stop somebody. But who? Why?
That'll have to wait. You must leave now, both of you. What? This is the crisis.
Well, come on, Kent.
When will we know about him, Doctor?
Very soon. I'll call you as soon as the crisis is over.
Thanks. Good luck, Jim. The doctor said we can stay for only a few minutes, Jim. So, well, suppose you start at the beginning and tell us quickly what happened. How you were hurt, everything.
Okay, Mr. Kent. I'll do my best.
All right, now, Jim. Now, just take it slow and easy.
Right. Well, it all began because I got so interested in the coming elections.
The elections? Well, what's that got
Let
to...
him go on, Chief.
Yeah. You see, Beanie told me his brother Joe is getting into politics, and he's making speeches against the Hickey machine's control of the city.
Joe Martin?
Uh-huh. Joe's a real swell guy and a decorated veteran and all that. So I wanted to see if there was something I could do to help him.
Good boy.
Well, that's fine. But how did you get you a cracked skull?
I'm coming to that, Chief. I found out that Joe was making a speech at Lincoln Square. It was to be at noon. So on my lunch hour, I went over there to sort of give him a hand. There's always lots of people in the square at noon, you know. So Joe had a pretty big crowd. And what he was saying packed funny.
Whatever happened to that post-war world we were led to expect? Yeah. What happened to the things we were told we'd find waiting for us when we came back? The war's over. We've been back home for 2 years, and most of us don't even have homes to live in. And why? I'll tell you why. Because those things were all campaign promises made by Mike Hickey and his machine to ensure their re-election. And now that they think they're installed in City Hall, there's only one thing we can do about it. Vote them out in the next election.
Joe had really started something there with that speech. He had most of the crowd with him, but then some hecklers got to work on him. They called him un-American.
They did?
Uh-huh. Said he was trying to start a revolution and stuff like that.
Well, how do you like that?
Oh, relax, Chief. That's typical of crooked politicians. They always try to cover their own sins by smearing the opposition and calling them all kinds of names.
But Martin's a veteran, a war hero.
Sure, but that cuts no ice with people like Hickey and his crowd. Joe's in their way. They can't find anything else to smear him with, so they call him un-American. That usually manages to get a rise out of an unthinking mob.
No, but it's so unfair.
Of course it is. Go on, Jim. What happened then? I suppose you leaped to Joe's defense, eh?
Sure, I know Joe. I know he's a darn good American.
Sure.
I couldn't just stand there and listen while guys heckled him, could I?
Certainly not.
You ought to know better than to get into a fight with grown men.
Probably paid goons at that.
I guess so, but I was mad. Climbed up on a bench and yelled that Joe was right about Hickey, and that Joe was an honest citizen. And then...
Somebody came up and slugged you?
Uh-huh. I saw him coming. A big 6-footer with a blackjack. Before I could duck, he let me have it. That's all I can remember.
Yeah, he was probably one of Mike Hickey's goon squad. Well, the elections are coming up. Hickey's probably ordered his goons to take their gloves off. He must feel he's powerful enough to get away with anything, even breaking heads.
No, he does he?
Why, that's Hitler stuff.
That's what all demagogues do, Jim, when the people are too lazy and too careless to make sure that only trustworthy men are elected to public office. Most of us make the mistake of leaving things to the professional politicians. Then we usually wake up to discover we've been taken over, lock, stock, and barrel by crooked party bosses like Mike Hickey. And we also find it's a long, hard job to get rid of them.
Well, it's going to be done this time, Kent. Once and for all.
I'd like to see that, Chief. Mike Hickey has built the strongest political machine Metropolis ever saw.
I know, but I can break it, and I'm going to.
How?
Well, I'll tell you at the office. So long, Jim. I'm sorry you had to have your skull fractured to wake us up.
Well, if something good comes of it, it'll be worth it, Chief.
Attaboy, Jim.
Come on, Ken, come on. We're going to start digging Hickey's political grave right now.
Our scene is a large room, equipped as a combination office and living room above a tavern in the teeming tenement district of Metropolis. In the very center of the room is a barber's chair, and seated in it now is a heavy-set man a little below average height. This is Mike Hickey, powerful political boss of Metropolis. A barber stands behind him, trimming his thick, graying hair. A bootblack is busy shining his shoes. A girl manicurist sits beside Hickey at work on the nails of one of his soft, square hands, the middle finger of which wears a jeweled ring. In his other hand, he holds an extension telephone into which he speaks, oblivious to the people about him, to the men who come and go constantly through a door at the far end of the room, to another phone which rings almost incessantly. Cigar smoke like a dense gray fog hangs over the whole room.
Who's going to make a speech against me? The president of Metropolis University tonight, eh? We'll let him talk. Public don't listen to eyebrows. They use too many long words. No, don't bother with him, Eddie. So long. Hey, take a punch phone away, will you, Punchy?
Okay, boss. Oh, Lou's waiting on the other extension. You want to talk to him?
Yeah, I'll give it here.
Coming up, boss.
Hello, Lou. What's in your mind? Oh, Joe Martin's popping off in another meeting, huh? Well, if he gets a big crowd, bust it up like he did the other day. If there ain't much of a crowd, let the dope talk. Huh? Well, so what if he is a war hero? He hasn't got any organization behind him to get out the voters on primary day. And like I always say, as long as the suckers are too lazy to vote in the primaries when they got to say about who gets nominated, we've got nothing to worry about. So long, Lou. Take it away, Punchy.
Okay, boss. You know all the answers, boss.
Well, it's simple, Punchy. If sucker public stays away from the polls in primary day, and we nominate our boys without any trouble. So, election day, the voters can only vote for who we or the other party puts up, right?
Right, boss. And because we got the strongest machine, our guys always get selected.
Right? Hey, Tony, careful how you're cutting over my ears. Don't take off too much hair, huh?
Okay, Mr. Hickey.
Harry McIntyre of Extension 1.
Oh, Harry McIntyre, boss. You want to talk to him?
Okay. Yeah, what gives, Harry? Daily Planet? No, I didn't. What about it? Oh, a page 1 blast, huh? What? Backing Joe Martin for mayor? That's a joke. Without an organization? Hey, wait a minute. They can't beat us, but they might make trouble. Get the people stirred up and open the way for a reform movement next year. Maybe we better nip this in the bud right now. Yeah. Maybe we'd better nip Mr. Joe Martin and the Daily Planet both in the bud. But good. Uh-huh. Tell you what, Harry. Get Nick and his boys and come up here right away. We're going to do a little job. A couple of little jobs. Tonight.
Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, Mr. Kent.
I just come from the hospital, Chief. Jim's getting along fine.
Oh, good, good. And we're going to get along fine here, too.
What do you mean?
Well, what do you suppose I mean? We're getting our campaign to rid Metropolis of Mike Hickey and his rotten political machine underway.
Well, that's fine, Chief.
You know, Kent, I've had at least 50 telephone calls congratulating me on my editorial in yesterday's Planet. And you should see the mails.
Say, that's swell, but, Chief,
I'm Joe here. What? Oh, you tell him, Joe. Tell him about the phone calls and wires from ex-GIs who offer to help put over your campaign for mayor.
Well, a lot of the boys are for me, of course, but I don't think we should build our hopes too high. At least I'm not.
You're not? Well, what kind of talk is that? Are you ready to give up even before the fight's begun?
Oh, no, Mr. White. I'll never give up my fight against Mike Hickey and others like him. I'm just being realistic, that's all. You see...
What do you mean, realistic?
Oh, wait, easy, Chief. Give him a chance. Go on, Joe.
Well, I think it'll take more time than we've got to beat Hickey. Because in order to smash a political machine, you've got to put together a strong citizens' organization. Line up good speakers, run rallies, have a staff of workers in each ward, every block, who'll explain the issues to the voters. But it'll take until the next election to do that.
Nothing doing. I'm not waiting until the next election. I'll be hanged if I'm going to sit idly by while the Hickey strong-arm mob runs this city for another 10-year allotment. I want action now. This here. I'll hammer at them day after day, all over the front page.
All right.
And if you fellows aren't with me, I'll do it alone.
Wait a minute, Chief. Wait a minute. Just relax for a moment and listen. Neither Joe nor I deny that everything you say about Mike Hickey is true.
All right. Then why don't you...
We want Hickey's scalp as much as you do. Matter of fact, you may recall that I've been after you for some time to open up in that bunch in City Hall.
Okay, so now we're going to get after them.
Yes, but with the elections only a month off, I'm afraid that maybe your way, as Joe says, is wrong. Now, I've got an alternate plan to suggest. One that'll give us better than a 50-50 fighting chance for success. Are you willing to listen?
Well, of course I am. Go on, spill it.
Okay, here it is. Now, my plan depends on...
Just a minute, Kent. Someone wants me on the intercom.
Okay.
Yes?
Murphy, composing room.
Oh, what is it, Murphy?
Trouble, Chief. No paper.
What do you mean, no paper? I know that a boat loaded with paper for us docked in the harbor last night.
That's right. And our trucks were at the dock first thing this morning to pick it up. But they couldn't get the paper.
Why not?
The boat's quarantined.
Quarantined?
What's that?
Yeah, the health department says one of the crew is sick with something that might start an epidemic. So they ordered the boat anchored out in the harbor.
Oh, no.
Sounds bad.
How will we fix the paper stock, Murphy?
And not so good. You know, we loaned about 500 tons to the Bulletin last week after their warehouse burned down. And that leaves us with only enough left for 2 days.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, sir. If If we don't get an okay to unload that boat by day after tomorrow, we are out of business.
Great Scott. I'll call you back, Murphy.
Right.
Well, how do you like that? Just when we need paper like never before to blast that Hickey mob out of existence, this has got to happen.
I'm afraid this didn't just happen.
What do you mean?
My hunch is we've been framed.
Framed?
But who would do a thing like
Mike Hickey?
Holy smoke.
He's got enough official control to pull a thing like this.
Why, sure. That's right, by heaven. Mike Hickey did this to stop the planet's presses, to keep us from telling the people the truth about him. Well, I'm not going to let him get away with this.
How can you stop him, Mr.
I'll go to the health department, to the police, to the mayor. I'll take him to the highest court in the land. I'll show them they can't pull a thing like this on me and get away with it.
Calm down.
I won't.
Wait a minute. Now, first, it's just my hunch that Hickey is behind this. Second, even if you have a bare chance of licking that quarantine, it'll be days, maybe weeks before they lift it. And in the meantime, where will we be?
We can't be any worse off than we are now.
Now, wait a minute. Don't we own a paper mill in Canada?
Well, sure we do. That's where the boatload came from. But do you know how long it takes for a shipment to get down here?
Yes, I know, but I also know how we can get at least a carload of it and right away.
Now, look, Kent, this is no time for jokes.
This is no joke. Wait and see.
Kent! Hey, wait, where are you going? Well, what are you going to do?
No time for quiz games now, Chief. Just you sit tight and watch us knock the props out from under Mr. Hickey's frame-up.
Leaving Perry White and Joe Martin wondering if he can be serious, Clark Kent hurries into a deserted storeroom. A moment later, stripped down to the red and blue costume of Superman, he rockets out into the sunlit sky and hurtles northward, his crimson cape streaming in the wind. Within a matter of minutes, workers at a large paper mill in Canada are amazed to see the tall, colorfully garbed figure plummet down from the sky and seek out the plant superintendent.
Great Jehoshaphat, that's Superman.
Right, Mr. Gavin. I'm here to pick up some more paper for the Daily Planet. Can you give me a carload now?
Sure, Superman, as soon as we can load it.
Don't bother. I'll take care of that. You just show me where I can find it.
Out at the warehouse, this way.
Following the bewildered superintendent to the stockpile, Superman swiftly loads a number of huge, heavy rolls of newsprint paper on a flat car. Then, as the mill hands look on in awestruck astonishment, the man of steel lifts the railroad car and, holding it as if it were a waiter's tray, leaps up into the sky. Up, up, and away! A short while later, Superman delivers his cargo to the Daily Planet building, and the presses are kept rolling in the campaign to defeat corrupt politicians. But it isn't long before Mike Hickey is advised of Perry White's mysterious shipment of paper. Furious at this unforeseen turn of events, he summons one of his men.
Pete. Yeah, Mr. Hickey. Somehow White managed to get around our quarantine of his boat and load up with enough paper to keep the Daily Planet going. Spread the word that I want to know what happened and how. You got it, Pete?
Yeah, Mr. Hickey, I got it.
Now that they've taken the first trick from me, we're really going to get tough. Tell Louis I want to see him. I want him and you to carry out my plan to fix it so Joe Martin don't run for mayor. And when the Daily Planet bunch sees what happens, I guarantee they won't want to back anybody else who runs against my machine.
Boy, can't I give a lot to know what's going on through Mike Hickey's head. I mean, since he found out that he didn't stop us from publishing by slapping a quarantine on a boatload of paper.
I'm afraid you'll know soon enough. It won't be very nice either.
Huh? Oh, rubbish. He's stymied now. There's nothing he can do to us.
Well.
Oh, by the way, Kent, how did you manage to contact Superman to help us out of this spot?
Oh, mental telepathy, you might say.
Oh, come now.
What's the difference, Chief? That's not important now. What we've got to do is plan to prevent the next move.
Mr. White! Mr. Kent!
What's the matter, Beanie?
What happened?
I came to tell you, my brother Joe...
Well, what about Joe?
He won't be running for mayor now.
You what?
What do you mean? What happened, Beanie?
Stop falling and tell us.
Oh, Joe... Oh, golly, I don't know how to tell you.
What's the matter, Joe? What happened?
Yeah, what do you mean by saying you can't run for mayor?
It's the truth. That dirty so-and-so fixed me. But good.
Who did?
What are you talking about?
Hickey. Mr. Mike Hickey.
All right, tell us the whole story, Joe. All the details from the beginning.
Okay, here it is. You see, my father runs the news and cigar stand at the lobby of the Tremont building.
Uh-huh.
He's had that ever since the building was put up about 25 years ago.
Yes, we know that. Now, go on.
Well, this afternoon, my father was arrested.
Arrested?
What on earth for?
He was accused of being a bookie, of using his stand as a front to take illegal bets on horse racing.
Good grief. Frame up, eh?
Well, of course. When he was arrested, a fellow was at his stand with a receipt for a bet. He said he'd just given my father money to place on a horse for him. Then the police brought Dad down to the DA's office, and half a dozen seedy-looking guys swore they'd been placing bets with him for years. They were lying.
Oh, of course they were. The filthy...
Easy, Chief, easy. Go on, Joe. Well, they took Dad down to headquarters where he was booked and locked up until I could go bail for him. Took me quite a while. I had to cash in my war bond.
Why didn't you come to me?
Oh, I didn't want to bother you until I had to, Mr. White, but now I need help. You see, it's clear that my father was framed, but I don't know what to do about it. He's all broken up. Traymore Building said they were going to cancel his lease on his stand. Well, so far, Beanie and I have kept it from my mother. She's not very well. She's been sick for a long time. And if she finds out about this, well, it won't do her any good. Oh, no, Mr. White. No. It's all over for me. I'm licked.
You mean you're really going to knuckle under to Hickey? Give up without a fight?
Now, wait a minute. Believe me, Mr. White, it isn't because I want to. No. If I had just myself to consider, I'd never give up. I'd fight Hickey to a finish. And mainly because this is my town, because I've got a wife and a child. And I'd like to make this a decent place for them to live in.
Of course, Joe, we understand.
Well, maybe Hickey's machine is too powerful for us to buck against.
Oh, come now, Chief. You're not giving up, are you?
I don't know, Kent. The whole picture looks black.
The picture isn't so black. Let's prove what we can do.
Well, that's brave talk, but what can we do?
We can talk to and get the active backing of all those business, civic, and religious leaders in town, those who called and wired to congratulate you on your editorials against Hickey. Organize a reform party.
Hey, do you think maybe, just maybe, we can get an organization thrown together?
It's worth a chance. Call a meeting. Get them together this evening. Invite the other papers to be represented there. I guarantee that we can pick a man out of that group to run against the Hickey machine.
Then I take it, gentlemen, that you, as the outstanding business, civic, and religious leaders of Metropolis, are ready to head a reform party that will run Mike Hickey and his gang out of City Hall. Fine. There's a lot of organizational work to do. But first, we've got to decide on a man for mayor. Now, I've been giving a lot of thought to that, and I'd like to propose a man you all know and respect. One of the leading merchants and civic leaders of the city, George Hollister.
Wait a minute, gentlemen. While I appreciate the honor, Perry and gentlemen, I couldn't possibly serve.
Why?
My department store takes all my time.
Oh.
And besides, I sit on several directors' boards, so I must decline.
Oh, now listen, George. This is bigger than your
No,
store.
it's out of the question, Perry. But what's the matter with Bert Gray here? Bert headed the Red Cross and community chest drives for years. He's very well known and universally respected. He'd make a fine man.
No, it's impossible, gentlemen. My company has recently merged with two others, as you know. And I've been elected chairman of the board. I couldn't possibly take time to hold public office.
You see? That's why Mike Hickey runs Metropolis. Because everyone's too busy with his private affairs to take part in his own government. So we leave it to professional politicians. And then we squawk at what they do. Now, does that make sense? How can we expect to have a decent city or a decent country if we shirk our duties as citizens?
Now, look here, Perry. We go to the polls and vote.
You vote? Yes. But who do you vote for? I'll tell you. For the stooges Mike Hickey and the other party bosses puts on the ticket. And you know that the only way you can have a decent government is to see that good, honest men are nominated and elected. But George is too busy with his department store, and Bert Gray is too busy with his business. And I suppose the rest of you...
Just a minute, Chief. Chief, how about you running for mayor?
Me? Are you crazy, Kent?
Not at all. You're even better known than Mr. Hollister or Mr. Gray. You're the editor of the largest and most influential paper in the city. Your reputation is impeccable. You'd make a swell mayor.
You certainly would, Chief. That's a wonderful idea.
No, Lois, you stay out of this. It's impossible. It's ridiculous. I can't run for mayor.
Why can't you, Chief?
Yes, give us one.
Well, it's impossible. You know that. Well, I've got to get out the Daily Planet and...
Well, don't just what you accuse these others of doing,
The
Chief.
planet is well organized. It can get along without you for a while, but the city can't. It needs you and men like you. Now, how about it?
Well, I don't know, but...
Come on, Chief. If you really meant what you said, you'll say yes now.
Well, it looks as if you've got me.
And you'll run for mayor?
Yes, Kent. Yes, I'll run.
Boy, Chief.
Hail to Mayor Terry!
Hello?
Mr. Hickey?
Yeah, who's there?
Pete, listen.
What's the idea of waking me up at 10 o'clock in the morning?
Well, I thought you better hear this right away. I just got a tip that Perry White, editor of Daily Planet, you know, organized a reform party. Lots of big shots are in it.
Keep
And
talking,
get this.
Pete.
White's running for mayor himself.
Oh, he is, eh? I thought the job we did on Joe Martin would scare him off.
I guess he don't scare easy. Here, get this, boss. George Hollister is running for city treasurer, and Bert Gray for public works commissioner.
That's
Also, they
enough,
got a-
Pete. I don't like this. Meet me at the office in 30 minutes.
After a busy day organizing the Perry White for Mayor campaign, Clark Kent and Lois Lane have dined, called on Jimmy Olsen at the hospital, and then taxied to Lois's apartment house, where Kent is saying goodnight to her in the lobby. On a table, a small radio plays softly.
Oh, what a day. I'm Orion, Clark.
Yeah, me too. I'll get a good night's sleep, Lois. I'll see you in the morning.
Right. Night.
Night.
Your attention, please.
Wait a minute,
Your
Clark.
attention, please.
What's this?
We've just been informed that Perry White, editor of the Metropolis Daily Planet,
Chief,
and candidate for mayor on the new Reform Party ticket, has just been arrested.
Arrested?
Charged with criminal assault.
criminal assault. What in the name of heaven is this all about, Inspector?
I suppose you're referring to Perry White.
Naturally.
Just heard a radio flash saying he'd been arrested. Now, that can't be true.
Well, it is. White was arrested, all right, Kent. He's in the city jail.
Mr. White? In the city jail?
That's right, Miss Lane.
I never heard anything so ridiculous in my whole life.
Neither did I. Something's very wrong, Inspector.
Well, if you two will be quiet for just a moment, maybe I can get a word in.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Now, in the first place, there's been no mistake. Secondly, your boss is in a very bad spot. We've got him booked on a hit-and-run charge.
Now, wait a minute.
He struck a man down with his car at Roosevelt Boulevard and 88th Street this evening. Seriously injured him and sped away.
Oh, I can't believe that.
Neither can I. Someone must have made a mistake,
Oh,
Inspector.
no, Miss Lane. Several reputable witnesses saw the accident and identified him.
Why?
What's more, they got the license number of White's car.
What?
They did.
That's right.
And he... The chief was driving? You're sure?
According to at least 6 witnesses, a man who answers White's description perfectly stopped his car after the accident and got out. Then, when he saw the man lying there, he must have lost his nerve, because they say he jumped back into his car and sped away. We picked him up at his house.
I can't believe it.
Look, Inspector, you say there were at least 6 witnesses?
Right. And reputable witnesses, Kent.
Oh?
Yes, men like Professor Nielsen of Metropolis University, who was walking home from the university with one of his students. They both witnessed the accident. They described White and reported the license number of the car. A Buick convertible, license W88.
Clark, we've got to do something. We can't
Now, wait
let
just
this
a minute, Lois. Just a minute. The victim, Inspector, is he seriously injured?
Very seriously, I understand. The doctors at the hospital say he may not pull through.
Oh, that's awful.
And if he doesn't, it'll be my sad duty to charge my friend Perry White with manslaughter.
Oh, no, Inspector, you couldn't.
Easy, Lois. Inspector, can you fix it for us to see the chief? I mean, Mr. White at once?
Well, I don't know, Kent.
Please, Inspector.
All right.
Maybe go right over?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll call the sergeant and tell him to let you in.
Thank you, Inspector.
Come on, Lois. Let's go.
Sing out when you're ready to leave, Mr. Kent.
Okay, Clancy, thanks.
Oh, Chief, how did you ever get into a mess like this?
Through the sheer, unadulterated stupidity of that addle-pated, glorified beat pounder Henderson, that's how.
Now, look, Chief.
I'm sure there must be some mistake, Chief.
Mistake? Why, this is the biggest farce ever perpetrated. Imagine accusing me, Perry White, of being a hit-and-run driver. Why, it's ridiculous. It's idiotic. Now, why should
wait a minute. Calm down, please.
Calm down? How can you expect a man to calm down after sitting here in this rat hole of a cell with a ridiculous charge hanging over his head?
It's not so ridiculous.
It's very serious,
Oh, it
Chief.
can't be. It can't be. It must be somebody's unfunny idea of a practical joke. Somebody
Chief,
who...
will you listen to me? It's no joke when you're in danger of being charged with manslaughter.
What? Manslaughter?
That's right. Inspector Henderson just told us that the victim of the hit-and-run accident that you're charged with is in a very critical condition.
Yes, and if he should die, you'll be on trial for manslaughter.
Oh, no, they can't do this to me. This can't be. I must be dreaming.
I wish you were. I wish all of us were.
Yeah, so do I. Now, look, Chief. Don't fly off the handle at this question. Just answer truthfully. You didn't hit that man tonight, did you?
Of course I did.
How could you even ask a question like that, Clark
I
Kent?
knew the answer. I just wanted to hear it from the chief himself.
You do believe me, don't you?
Certainly
Of course.
we do, Chief.
Now, we've got to see if we can get to the bottom of this mess. And the only way to do that is to get all the facts.
Oh, what good will it do? I've already given the police the facts, and they won't accept them.
Well, they can't because of all the circumstantial evidence piled up against you. Now, look. According to the police blotter, the accident happened at 7:39 this evening at Roosevelt Boulevard and 88th Street. Do you know where you were at that time?
Henderson asked me the same question. And I told him I was on my way home at that time. Probably was right there. I mean, at 88th and Roosevelt Boulevard, about the time the accident occurred.
You were?
Yes. Yeah, that's it. Figuring the time it takes me to drive that far on my way home from the office.
Well, did you see an accident or any signs of an accident there at that time?
No. At least I didn't notice anything.
Well, But, Chief, how could all those witnesses describe you perfectly as the driver who ran down a man in a car like yours bearing your license plate?
They couldn't, unless they were blind or just plain lying.
Now, wait, Chief. One of the witnesses is Professor Nielsen, law school dean at the university. Certainly you don't think he would deliberately lie, do you?
Oh, Kent, I don't know what to think. All I know is that I didn't hit anyone, nor did I run away from an accident tonight or any night. And here I am in jail in danger of standing trial for manslaughter. Oh, why? Why did this happen to me?
Hey, wait a minute.
Huh?
I think I know the answer to that question.
What?
What is it, Clark?
You know, in the excitement of all that's happened tonight, we quite forgot that you, Chief, were running for mayor.
That's right.
Oh, fine, great. Can you just see the headlines in tomorrow's papers? Perry White, candidate for mayor, jailed as hit-and-run driver.
That's not all. You're spearheading our reform ticket to drive Mike Hickey and his dirty machine out of City Hall.
What's that got to do with it?
Can't you see now what's behind this?
Great Scott, yes. Kent, I've been framed.
Framed?
That's right. Framed by as clever and as fiendish a plot as has ever been dreamed up. It's perfectly clear, Chief. You've been framed. Framed by Mike Hickey to wreck your chances for being elected mayor on a Reform Party ticket. And to protect the crooked political machine of which he's boss.
Of course. That must be the answer.
Well, it won't work. I won't knuckle under to Hickey. If necessary, I'll conduct my campaign from this cell.
That's the spirit, Chief. We'll lick this somehow.
Grimly, Perry White, Clark Kent, and Lois Lane set about planning their strategy. But their enthusiasm would undoubtedly be dampened somewhat if they were aware of political boss Mike Hickey's conversation with one of his lieutenants in another part of the city.
Sure you've got all tracks covered on the hit-and-run accident, Lou?
It's a perfect frame. The guy couldn't beat that rap with the Attorney General for a mouthpiece.
Good. That ought to show him I mean business.
Yeah. Look, Mr. Hickey, what if he's too stupid or too stubborn to give in even now?
If he's stupid enough to still want to fight me and my machine, I've got an ace up my sleeve that'll put him out of my way for good and make his Reform Party disappear like it was hit with an atom bomb.
The next morning, there was a feeling of gaiety in Mike Hickey's headquarters, located above a tavern on Morton Street. Men joked and laughed as they entered and left the long, smoke-filled room, in the center of which, dominating it like a throne, is a large barber's chair, in which sprawls the gross, heavy-jowled figure of the political boss. Behind him, working with comb and shears, is a barber. A girl manicurist sits beside him, humming. Before the chair is a desk, on which are 2 extension telephones, presided over by a blinking, foolishly grinning man called Punchy.
Did you see today's Gazette yet, Mr. Hickey?
No, what's it say, Punchy?
Well, listen to this. 2 columns of headlines. Perry White, candidate for mayor on new Reform Party ticket, jailed as hit-and-run driver. How do you like that?
I like it fine. It couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
Hey, fellas, you hear what the boss said? It couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
Punchy, the mayor's on extension 1.
Hey, you want to talk to the mayor, boss?
Yeah, I'll talk to the chump. Give me the phone.
Okay. Here you are, boss.
Hello, Andy. What's in your mind? Sure, I saw the papers. Yeah, that finishes the Reform Party. It'll be just like old times again. People can vote for our boys, or they don't have to vote at all. Huh? You? I'm going to give you 2 more years in the City Hall, Andy. You're welcome. Just keep on being a good boy and don't try to make any decisions. Remember, you get along with me only when you don't try to think for yourself. You got that? Okay. Goodbye. Yeah, Punchy, take the phone.
Sure, boss. Pete's on the other extension. You want to talk to him?
Yeah, I was just going to tell you to call him.
It couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. Coming up with Pete, boss.
Oh, you're sure some character.
Yeah, hey? You really think so, huh?
Hello, Pete.
Hey, what are you doing like
Nice going, boy. It worked out swell. You tipped off the mayor just in case, didn't you? And the commissioner? Good. Okay. See you later, Pete. Right. So long. Take it away, Punchy.
What's the joke, boss?
I was just thinking of that poor sucker, Perry White. He's sure going to look swell in convict stripes.
As Mike Hickey and his henchmen make merry over what they are certain will be the fate of Perry White, Clark Kent and Lois Lane arrive at the city hospital, and when they attempt to visit the man White is alleged to have injured, they are turned away by 2 police officers who stand guard at the door of the room.
I told you they wouldn't let us in, Clark. That poor Mr. Niles is in a critical condition.
Is he, Lois?
Why, of course he is. You heard Inspector Henderson say that hit-and-run driver almost finished the poor man last night. Now, I don't know why you insisted on coming here, but
Wait, Lois.
What's the matter?
Mr. Niles is not in a critical condition. As a matter of fact, he's perfectly all right.
What?
He's perfectly all right. They've got him bandaged like a mummy, but there isn't a thing wrong with him.
Clark Kent, have you gone crazy?
Not at all, Lois. I've just got the answer to this riddle at last. Come on.
Where? Clark, wait a second. Listen.
We're going to see Inspector Henderson. Hurry up. I want an order from you, Inspector, authorizing an independent physician appointed by the Medical Association to examine Harry Niles.
Are you out of your mind, Kent?
No. You see,
I don't understand it, Inspector. He didn't even get into Niles' room, and yet he says there's nothing wrong with the poor man.
There isn't.
But Clark...
Harry White was framed by this man Niles, who's pretending to be seriously injured, and by another man made up to look like Mr. White, who drove the so-called hit-and-run car last night.
Who says there's nothing wrong with Niles?
I do, and I can prove it.
How do you know?
Because well, never mind how I know. I'm sure of it.
Oh, you looked through the closed door of Mr. Niles' room and through the bandages and saw there was nothing wrong, huh? Yeah. Next thing you'll be telling us is that you're Superman.
Oh, this is no time for joking. Listen, Inspector.
No, you listen to me, Kent. Oh, I realize you're upset about Mr. White, but this kind of talk will only make things worse for him and for you.
But look,
Niles is under the care of a private physician who happened to be at the scene of the accident and of the chief of staff of the city hospital. They say he's critically injured.
The city hospital man is Mike Hickey's political appointee. And it's my hunch this whole thing is a political plot to discredit Mr. White and the Reform Party. And I think the private physician, who just happened to be at the scene of the accident, was planted there.
Nonsense, sheer nonsense.
I'll prove it. If you'll permit me to bring a physician of recognized standing to Niles' hospital room.
Well, you'll have to get that permission from the mayor, Kent. But I can't recommend it. You haven't a bit of proof.
All right, then I'll go to the mayor.
Go ahead. But if you'll listen to me, Kent...
So long, Inspector. Be seeing you. Look, Mr. Mayor, Perry White's very life may be at stake. What harm can be done by letting another reputable physician, or 2 if you like, examine Harry Niles?
The superintendent of City Hospital is as fine a man as there is in the world, Mr. Kent.
All right.
And it just happens that I know the private physician on the case, too. An excellent chap, excellent. I see no reason to go over their heads.
But Mr. White's reputation, his life...
I'm very busy now, Mr. Kent, so I'll have to ask you to leave.
All right, Mr. Mayor. Before I go, let me tell you this. I know Perry White has been framed, and I'm going to blow this dirty plot wide open. I'm heading up to the governor's office right now, and I intend to spare no one, absolutely no one, Mr. Mayor, yourself included. Good day, sir. You've known Mr. White a long time, Governor. Do you believe he could be a hit-and-run driver?
Frankly, Kent, I was never so shocked in my life as when I heard of it. I couldn't believe it.
And you've known me a long time. Do you trust me?
Thoroughly, Kent.
Thanks. Then don't ask me how I know, just believe me when I tell you that I do know that Mr. White is being framed, and you can break the plot against him if you order a well-known physician, your own if you like, to examine Harry Niles, the so-called victim.
Now, wait, Kent. It's only in a vital emergency that a governor takes it upon himself to override the mayor of a great city.
It is an emergency. I tell you, Perry White was framed, Governor. Have Niles examined by your own physician, and he'll tell you so.
Well, yes, you make it very hard for me to refuse you, Kent.
Will you do it, sir?
Yes, I'll do it, Kent.
Thank you, sir.
I'll send Colonel Adams, my personal physician, back to Metropolis with you at once.
Harry Niles' room is right here at the end of the hall, Colonel. Uh-oh, what happened to the police guard?
What police guard, Kent?
There were 2 officers stationed outside his room. Great Scott!
What's the matter?
Plenty. Wait till I open this door. Look, Colonel, the room is empty. Harry Niles is gone.
Well, now, don't get excited, Kent. They might have moved him to another room.
No, wait. No, they didn't. He isn't anywhere in this hospital. He must have been taken away so that you and I couldn't prove the truth.
Alarmed, Clark Kent probes every room in the hospital again with his X-ray vision. And the fact is that the mysterious Harry Niles has indeed been taken away beyond exposure.
I demand that you tell me where Harry Niles is, Mr. Jansen.
Really? What gives you the right to demand anything of me, Mr. Kent?
An executive order from the governor instructing Colonel Adams here to examine Niles.
Here's the order, Mr. Jansen.
Keep it. I was appointed by the mayor, gentlemen. I take orders only from him.
Look, Jansen, why are you afraid to let Colonel Adams examine Niles?
I'm not afraid. There's just no reason for it. Niles has his own doctor. Besides, he's in a critical condition. He can't be disturbed by outsiders.
You say he's in a critical condition, huh? And yet you permitted him to be taken from the hospital? As a physician, I find that very strange and suspicious.
I don't care how it seems to you. This is municipal business and does not concern the state government.
See here.
Now, look, I've wasted enough time. Get out.
Not so fast, Mr. Jensen. One more question.
Get out. Get out, or I'll call the police and have you thrown out.
Why, you insolent... We're going, Jensen. But we'll be back to see you thrown out. Come on, Colonel. Let's go. I told the driver to drop me at police headquarters, Colonel, and then take you to the railroad station.
It's all right, Kent. You know, it makes my blood boil to see a man like Jansen at the head of the city's own hospital. How do the people stand for it?
Well, I assure you the people don't like it. But Mike Hickey holds the entire administration of this town in his dirty hands. Why, he even framed Perry White and smeared our reform party. But we may still be able to beat him in this election if I can find Harry Niles fast enough.
Any idea how to do that?
Well, you see, Niles is the state's witness against White. As such, he can't be moved without the consent of the police. So Inspector Henderson must know where he is.
I see. Is Henderson on your side or Hickey's?
He's on the side of justice. He's straight as a string. That's what I'm counting on.
Good.
Oh, here we are, police headquarters now. Well, I'm sorry you had to make this trip to Metropolis for nothing, Colonel.
Well, that's all right, Kent. Good luck to you in this fight.
Thanks. I'll keep you posted. So long.
Now, look, Kent, even if I wanted to, I couldn't tell you where Niles is, because I don't know.
You don't?
That's right. The mayor took this whole thing out of my hands.
Inspector, he can't do that. You're holding Perry White in jail, and Niles is your witness against him. So how in
Kent, you ought to get your facts straight. White was released an hour ago on bail.
Released?
That's right. Now, if Niles dies, White will be brought in and tried for manslaughter. If Niles lives, White will be tried on assault charges.
Don't you see, Inspector? That's why you've got to help me find Niles now.
Look, Kent, I like you. And speaking strictly off the record, I'd like nothing better than to see you run Mike Hickey and his gang out of Metropolis.
Well, then, why...
Well, if you had any real proof of your charge, maybe I could help you. But as it is...
Okay, Inspector. I have to find Niles myself. Just tell me this, though, if you will. What do you know about Niles?
Nothing. Nothing, except that he holds a small job in the sanitation department.
Works for the city, huh?
Mm-hmm. And he lives alone in a rooming house at 1100 West 13th Street.
1100 West 13th, okay. Now, what do you know about the doctor who just happened to be at the scene of the accident the other night? The one who's now acting as Niles' physician. I think you said his name was Tobin?
That's right, yes. His office is at 1900 West 88th Street.
1900 West 88th.
Right. And he's also on the city payroll, health department.
He works for the city, too, eh?
Right.
How about it now, Inspector? Still think there's nothing fishy about this case?
Confound it, I know it's fishy, Kent, but there's nothing I can do. Nothing. Until you bring me something more than just a private opinion to go on.
All right, Inspector. I'll bring you something to go on. I'll bring you plenty. So long.
Leaving police headquarters, Clark Kent makes 2 phone calls, and a short time later, we find him in the office of his friend, Candy Myers, the private detective.
They didn't take Harry Niles to his home, Candy. I just checked. And Dr. Tobin's office is closed. His nurse said he told her to be gone for a day or two. She doesn't know where.
Well, it's pretty clear that both Tobin and Niles ducked into a deep hole, Kent, and pulled the hole in after them. My guess is you won't see either one of them till after the election.
That'll be too late, Candy. We've got to find them and find them in a hurry. Otherwise, Mike Hickey's crowd will sweep the elections, and Mr. White may go to the penitentiary.
I know, Kent, I know, but down at hailing them won't be an easy job. The only thing we can do is to find out all we can about Niles and his doctor pal, and then follow each trail separately, hoping one of them will pay off.
Well, that's what I thought you could.
But my 2 assistants are out of town on a case. I can't cover both angles. I only got 2 feet.
And I've got 2. You take one man, I'll take the other. Now, whom do you want, Niles or Dr. Tobin?
Niles is my baby. You take the medico, Kent.
Okay. We'll keep in touch with each other through the Daily Planet. And remember, Candy, every minute counts.
I'll have these bandages off in a minute, Niles. There. That does it. Probably a little stiff. Want me to help you up?
No. I can make it, Doc. Oh, boy, it sure feels good to have all them wrappings off. You had me taped up like a mummy.
I had to make it look good, you know. You were supposed to be critically injured.
Yeah. I took a big chance. If we hadn't got away before that Planet reporter showed up with another doc, my name'd be Mud. I hope Mike Hickey appreciates it.
Oh, he does. He gave me $1,000 for you.
What?
Here it is.
Only $1,000 for sewing up the election for him.
Relax. He said there'll be more. And a nice fat job on some city payroll. After the elections, now.
Well, that's a little better. Hey, what's he going to do for you, Doc?
He's making me commissioner of the health department.
Hey, not bad, huh?
Not at all. See, Mike takes care of his friend. Well, now, are you all set?
Yep. Everything's ticked. Here I go to get lost.
All right. Remember now, nobody sees you until after the elections.
Don't you worry. Where I'm going, nobody will find me. So long, Doc. Be seeing you.
So long, Niles. See you right here after the elections.
Waiting until Harry Niles had disappeared among the trees, the dapper Dr. Tobin returns to the ambulance, slides in behind the wheel, then steps on the starter and pulls away. So Clark Kent was right. The hit-and-run charge for which Editor Perry White faces a penitentiary term was a frame-up by Mike Hickey.
You wanted to see me, Chief?
Yes, Lois. Can't get in yet?
No, not yet.
Yeah, that's too bad. I wanted you both here when
When you what, Chief?
When I announced my withdrawal from the campaign for mayor.
Your withdrawal?
That's right.
But, Chief, you can't do that. You can't quit now. Not when we've got our Reform Party organized.
Our Reform Party is licked before it even got a chance to fight, Lois.
Now, listen,
Hickey
Chief.
took care of that when he smeared me. People won't have any faith in a party whose chief candidate is in line for a jail term.
But we can't just lie back and let Hickey and his crooked machine go on getting away with having his goons, blackjack youngsters like Jimmy Olsen, and frame fine men like Joe Martin and you. You've got to lead the people in a fight against the Hickey machine.
Sure, but will the people believe I was framed? Will they do something to throw the Hickey machine out of the city administration?
Of course they will, Chief. They'll vote Hickey right out of power. It's your job and mine to make them wake up to what goes on in politics.
Well spoken, Lois. I second that.
Oh, hi, Clark.
Ken.
Hello, Chief. Oh, come on. Don't look so low. We're far from licked yet. Look, has there been any word from Candy Myers?
Oh, yes, Clark. He called up some time ago and said to tell you he's got a hot lead on Harry Niles.
He has? Well.
Yes, he was going to be here in 20 minutes, but golly, that was an hour and a half ago.
Guess something must have come along to hold him up.
Well, my hunch is that his hot lead turned into a cold potato.
Oh, now look, Chief.
What about you, Clark? Any progress in your search for Niles' doctor, or what's his name, Tobin?
Yeah, that's right. No luck yet. But I got a lot of feelers out, and if only one of them... Okay, maybe that's Candy. I'll take it. Hello? Who? Yes, it's Clark Kent.
Is it Candy?
No. Who'd you say? Oh, Mr. Collins, yes. You say he phoned? When?
What is it, Clark?
Just a minute, Lois. Yes? Uh-huh. Fine, I'll be right over. Thanks for calling me, Mr. Collins.
You seem all excited, Clark. What was that?
The manager of the garage where Dr. Tobin keeps his car. He said he just had a call from Tobin telling him to fill the tank with gas.
Uh-oh.
Hey, maybe that's
Sorry to interrupt, Chief, but I've got to get going because Tobin's expected over at the garage right away. Now, look, if you hear from Candy, tell him where I am.
Sure, Clark, but listen...
Sorry, Lois, I can't wait a second.
Wait a...
This may be the break we've been waiting for. Stand by to hear from me.
You want me to answer that, Chief?
No, never mind, Lois. I'll take it. Yes?
Chief, this is Kent.
Is it Clark?
Oh, yes, Kent. Yes, what's happening?
Nothing so far. I'm still at Tobin's garage, but
He didn't show up, eh?
Oh.
Not yet. I'm going to stick right here until he does, though. Listen, have you heard from Candy Myers?
No, not a word.
I can't understand that. Hope nothing happened to him.
I doubt it, Kent.
Oh, well, I'll call again later, Chief.
Okay, so long.
Wait a minute, Chief. I want to talk to him.
Oh, what? Oh, wait, Kent. I'm sorry, Lois. He hung up. He didn't have anything to report anyway.
But I wanted to ask him where the...
Hiya, chum.
Oh, hello, Ken.
Myers, now where have you been?
Busy, kiddies. Plenty busy. I got a line on Harry Niles. I'm pretty sure I know where he is.
You do?
Where?
Easy. Where's Kent?
He's at a garage where Dr. Tobin keeps his car.
What garage? What's the phone number?
I don't know.
Never mind, Kent. You know.
Oh,
you
no.
tell us.
You mean we can't reach him?
That's right. Clark didn't tell us where the garage is. I was going to ask him just now when he phoned, but he hung up too
Oh,
soon.
I need that guy, Kent. I need him bad.
Well, what for?
To go out with me to this place where I think Niles is. I need a witness, though.
I'll go with you, Myers.
No, wait a minute, Chief.
As a defendant in this case, you won't do, Mr. White. I need an impartial witness.
I fit that bill, Candy, and I'm going with you.
It might be dangerous, Miss Lane.
Oh, so what, Candy? I've worked with you before.
Okay, you win. We'll be back in a few hours, Mr. White, at which time you'll be in the clear. I hope. There's the stream, Miss Lane. We follow it for about a half a mile to where it bends sharp right. From there we can see the Nelson farm.
Okay, Candy. Well, let's get started.
Well, I got my flashlight working. There, okay, let's go. Watch your step through the underbrush.
Yeah. It's a good thing I wore walking shoes today. Say, listen. How do you know this isn't just a wild goose chase, Candy?
Well, I got a hunch it isn't. That private ambulance Dr. Tobin took Niles away from the hospital in was seen at a gas station on Highway 16. That's the highway we come out on.
Yes, but what does that prove?
They were in this neighborhood.
I see.
What's more, Niles' wife told me that her no-good husband hid out on his uncle's farm a couple of times when things got too hot for him in Metropolis. That was before Mike Hickey was bossing Metropolis.
How does Mrs. Niles come to tell you all this, Candy?
She's plenty burned up at Mr. Niles. Seems he ran out on her as soon as he tied up with Hickey. Never gave her a cent.
A sweet character, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a nice guy, all right. I'm willing to take a fair-sized bet that Kent was right when he said Niles wasn't hurt at all in that hit-and-run frame-up.
Well, if he's here, we'll find that out mighty soon.
Said it. If it's so, we'll bring Inspector Henderson out. You know, the mayor told the police to stay off this case, but Henderson's the right guy. If we bring him the dope on Niles, he'll go to bat for us.
Oh, yes, I know it. Oh.
What's the matter?
Oh, I just tripped over that tree root. No harm done.
Oh, good. Come on. We don't have much further to go. Just that little piece of woods ahead.
Here's hoping we find Niles there, Candy.
I got my fingers crossed, Miss Lane. And my toes. I don't make any unnecessary noise from here on.
Quiet, Ty. Quiet, I say. I hear something, too. Someone coming. Two people, sounds like. Ain't nobody else hunts these woods except us. You reckon it might be someone coming after Harry, hey, Ty? If it is, we're gonna take care of him, Ty.
Look, Miss Lane. There's a light downstairs. One of the back rooms. See it?
Uh-huh.
We'll make for that. See what we can see. Now, remember, all we want to do is to find out if Niles is here. And if he's not hurt, like Kent says. Then we'll go back to Metropolis and get Inspector Henderson to send someone out to nab him.
That's good enough for me, Candy. I'm not anxious to meet Niles out here alone.
I just hope they haven't got a dog.
Yes, that would be bad. But if they did, it would have heard us by now and be barking its head off.
Yeah, I guess so. Wait. Miss Lane.
What's the matter?
Thought I heard something. Or somebody.
Where?
Behind us.
I don't hear anything. Except the crickets.
I don't either now.
Maybe it was a rabbit or a squirrel.
Yeah, it could be. Come on. Quietly now.
Gosh, this darkness gives me the willies.
We're almost there. Whatever you do, don't slip or anything now.
I'll try not to, Candy. Now, if only Niles is here.
Find that out right now. Hold it.
Looking for somebody?
What the?
Don't reach for your gun, mister. I'll drill you. Watch him, Tig.
Well, who are you?
I'm the fellow whose land you're on.
Oh, you must be Mr. Nelson.
Who are you?
Who, us?
Why, we're
Come on, talk up. When folks come trespassing on my land, my trigger finger starts itching.
Now, take it easy, Nelson. We're friends.
You ain't no friends of mine. I never seen you before.
Well, we're friends of your nephew, Harry Niles.
You're friends of Harry?
Sure, we came out here to bring him an important message, didn't we, Miss Susie?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Sure, we did. Mike Hickey sent us out to see Harry.
Harry's here, ain't he?
I ain't saying. Yet, you say Mike Hickey sent you?
Yeah.
That's right.
I don't believe you.
Now, listen to me, Mr. Nelson.
We'll find out if you're telling the truth or not. Harry'll be back soon. And if you're lying like I figure, this rifle will do the talking. Turn around.
You better do what the man says, Miss Lane.
Yes.
Take that gun out of your shoulder holster real slow, mister, and drop it on the ground. Slow, I said. Don't make no other moves, or it'll be the last you ever make.
Okay. Take it easy.
Now, march around the house and into the kitchen. We'll wait for Harry there. Go on, get. Watch him, Tig.
Candy, what do we do now?
I don't know, Miss Lane. This don't look so good.
Harry White speaking.
Chief, this is Kent.
Oh, where are you, Kent?
Well, I'm sort of shuttling, you might say, between Dr. Tobin's house and garage, still waiting for him to show up. I'm at the garage right now.
Well, stop wasting time and get back here.
I'm not wasting time, Chief. It's the only lead I have at the moment, and I'm sticking with it for a while longer. Listen, did you and Lois hear from Candy Myers?
Yes, he came in a little while ago and said he was pretty sure he knew where Harry Miles is.
Oh, swell. Let me talk with him, will you?
And he's not here. He went out with Lois.
Went out? Where?
To check up on Niles, of course. To see if he is where Candy thinks and if he was only pretending to be injured, as you say.
Well, where did they go?
Well, Candy didn't say. He was in too much of a hurry.
Well, please call me as soon as you hear from them, will you, Chief? The number here is Metropolis 4-3100. Have you got it?
Metropolis 4-3100.
That's right.
Okay, Kent.
Meanwhile, I'll keep checking with you. I still think Dr. Tobin will show up here. So long.
Bye.
Easy, Tig, easy.
I wish you'd tell that dog of yours to stand on the other side of the kitchen. I don't trust him.
Tig knows you're afeard, miss. But even so be you're telling the truth about Mike Hickey sending you out here to see Harry. You ain't got nothing to be afeard of.
When'll Harry be back?
Well, there's his car now, I reckon. Yeah, it's Harry. Now we'll find out if he knew was lying or not.
Come, Candy.
Miss Lane. Hiya, Harry.
Who are they, Unc?
Come in and shut the door, Harry.
How you doing, Harry, old boy? Long time no see.
Who are you?
Why,
Don't you remember us?
No, never seen you before in my life.
I knew they was lying, I knew it. Now I'm going to take care of them. Stand back, Harry.
Don't let him shoot, Niles. Mike Hickey sent us out here.
Hold it, Unc.
They're lying.
No, we're
Harry.
not.
Mike did send us out to talk to you. It's very important, Harry.
Don't you believe him. Let me...
Wait a minute. All right, talk. Why did Mike send you out here?
He wants us to take you to another hideout.
Yeah, that's right. A reporter on the Daily Planet found out where you were.
And he may be out here soon with the state police. Now, we got to move fast, Harry.
I say don't believe him, Harry.
Shut up, Unc. How did this reporter guy find out where I am? Tell me that.
He found out from your wife, that's how.
My wife?
Yeah, that's right. You know, she's sore at you. So she blabbed that this is where you always hide out.
Harry, I warn you, these two...
Quiet, Unc. I'll check this story right away.
What do you mean, check it? How?
I'm going to call up Mike Hickey personal and ask him.
Uh-oh.
Quiet.
I want Metropolis 9-1202. That's right. Mike says he sent you out here. Okay. But if he says he didn't, well, Nelson will take care of you like he wanted to before. All right, you two, talk up. What was your angle in tracking me out here? Was it to get me down to police headquarters and show him I wasn't even scratched in that phony hit-and-run deal?
Well, no. We...
No use, Miss Lane. They're wise to us.
You bet we are.
Well, what are you going to do about it, Niles?
You're a bright boy. What do you think I'm going to do?
If you're smart, you won't try anything rough. Because, like I told you, certain Daily Planet reporter and Inspector Henderson know about this place. Chances are they're on their way out here right now. So if anything happens to Miss Lane or to me, they'll know who did it.
Hey, get some rope.
What for?
We're going to take these two up to the old quarry and tie them up there. Then we'll get rid of them, and after that, you and me will hide out in Masterson's cave until the elections are over. Henderson or nobody else will find us there.
They sure won't. You got a head on you, Harry.
Hurry it up!
As the two ex-convicts tie Lois Lane and Candy Myers' hands and ankles before taking them to the old quarry, Clark Kent is in the office of a public garage in Metropolis, where he is talking with Mr. Collins, the garage manager.
It's been over 3 hours since Dr. Tobin phoned Mr. Collins. I'm beginning to think he changed his mind about coming over for his car.
Could be. Maybe he figured you'd be waiting for him here, Mr. Kent.
Yeah, that's possible. Well, I might as well go back to the office. Maybe they'll have some good news for me there.
Wait. Here comes Dr. Tobin now.
Really? Where?
Look. The fellow with the little mustache, just crossing the street. You see him?
Yes, I see him. Look, Mr. Collins, you know what to do, don't you?
Leave it to me, Mr. Kent. Mike Hickey condemned my garage once, bankrupt me because I wouldn't pay graft to his mobsters. I'll do anything I can to get back at him.
Okay, this is your chance, so go to it.
Leaving the office, Clark Kent runs up the ramp in the garage to the shadowy second floor, where a long row of cars stand, unattended. Then, behind the end car, under an open skylight, he swiftly strips off his business suit to stand revealed in the blue costume and brilliant red cape of Superman. A moment later, when Dr. Tobin, dressed in dapper fashion, his Homburg hat perched jauntily on the side of his head, approaches his car, Superman steps out to meet him. Good evening, Dr. Tobin.
Who are you?
I'm Superman. Don't you recognize me?
Oh, go on, you're crazy. Get out of my way, will you? I want my car.
Suppose we have a little talk first, Doctor.
I haven't time
About Harry Niles.
Harry Niles?
Yes. Where is Mr. Niles, Doctor? Did you know?
Look here, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm going out to get a police...
Oh, no, Doctor. No, you're staying right here until I get the truth.
Let go. Help!
Shouting won't help you.
Nothing. Not even Mike Hickey can help you now, so stand still and talk.
There's nothing to talk about. I did nothing wrong.
Oh, is that so? Then why did you remove Niles from the city hospital before a legitimate physician appointed by the governor could examine him?
Because there were threats made against Niles' life, and mine, too, by White's friends.
That's a lie, and you know it. You spirited Niles away because you know if a legitimate physician examined him, he'd find nothing wrong with him. That would put Niles and you and Hickey, too, in danger of a penitentiary sentence for conspiracy.
No, that's not true. I tell you, Niles was seriously hurt. Practically every bone in his body was broken.
Don't tell me that, because I saw Niles, and I know he wasn't even scratched. Now, I want to know where you took Niles.
It's none of your business.
I'm making it my business, Doctor. Because the proper authorities have been handcuffed by Mike Hickey, who thinks he's the law. He must be shown he's wrong. Quickly now, where is Harry Niles?
I won't tell you.
I warn you, Tobin.
You can't do anything to me.
You'll find out. Up with you.
No, let me go.
Up through that open skylight.
No.
Up and away!
We're flying. Don't drop me.
Are you willing to tell the truth now?
Please take me down. You might drop me.
I might indeed, unless you talk fast and truthfully. Where is Harry Niles?
I don't know.
You're a disgrace to an honorable profession, Doctor, and I'm sure the Medical Association would be well rid of you, so...
No, don't drop me.
All right, then tell me. Where is Niles?
All right. I left him in the county forest preserve.
The county forest preserve?
Yes, his uncle's farm is near there. I didn't want to be seen near the farm with the ambulance.
You're going to be seen near it now. Away! You're sure this is the farmhouse, Dr. Tobin?
Yes, this is it.
Why is it empty?
Well, I don't know. Niles was going to hide out here with his uncle until after the election.
Wait a minute. Scented perfume in the room. Yes, it's the perfume Miss Lane wears. That means she was here with Candy Myers. Candy told Mr. White he thought he knew where Niles was. But where are they now?
Well, maybe your friends took Niles back to Metropolis.
We'll soon find out. Come along.
Huh? Where are we going?
They left Metropolis to come here only a couple of hours ago, so they must have left here very recently. If they started back to Metropolis, we'll find them quickly. Up with you. Now, up and away!
Okay, Unc, let them have it. Now!
Superman, high in the sky, comes within view of the scene, flashing downward like a meteor hurtling through space. He snatches the twin bullets of death from the air, the scant hairs fresh from the hearts of Lois and Candy. Then, plummeting to the ground before the wide-eyed Lois and Candy Myers, Superman removes the thoroughly frightened Dr. Tobin and places his own steel body as a shield between his two friends and the angrily amazed Harry Niles and his uncle.
Holy smokes!
Superman!
Something, Jemima, it is Superman!
Right. Drop your gun, Niles. You too, old-timer.
Where'd he come from?
Never mind, get him, Unc.
Drop your guns, I said.
I got him, Harry!
That doesn't stop me.
No, get him, Harry, Unc.
This will stop you.
I saw it, Superman. Get the other one.
Pleasant dreams, Niles. There we are, Candy.
Put him up in the other alley.
Relax, Candy. That's all there are.
Yes, and they'll keep this way till we get them to police headquarters. Are you two all right?
Oh, never felt better. But you didn't get here 1 second too soon, Superman.
You can say that again, Miss Lane. I was practically saying hello to St. Peter's.
Glad I made it on time. Here, wait a minute. I'll take these ropes off you.
How did you find out where we were?
Yeah, and who's this little character you brought with you? He's listening to the birdies, too.
That's Dr. Tobin. My last flight seems to have taken the wind out of him.
Dr. Tobin?
Yes, I managed to persuade him to tell me where Niles was hiding out. Incidentally, I see that Clark Kent was right. Niles wasn't hurt in that hit-and-run accident, was he?
Of course he wasn't. The whole thing was a frame-up by Mike Hickey to smear Perry White and the Reform Party.
But how did you know about all this, Superman?
Oh, I keep informed of what goes on in Metropolis, Miss Lane. There we are. You're both free now.
Oh.
All right, let's deliver our 3 unconscious friends to Inspector Henderson.
And tell him to sweep out another cell for Mike Hickey.
Right. I think we've got Hickey on the run at last.
Grasping the relaxed forms of Harry Niles, Nelson, and Dr. Tobin, Superman lifts them like a bundle of dirty wash. And taking Lois Lane and Candy Myers under his other arm, he leaps high into the air and streaks to Metropolis. A short time later, a furtive, shifty-eyed man pounds excitedly on the door of Mike Hickey's handsome residence, and is shortly in the presence of the fat, many-chinned political boss who, in bathrobe and slippers, has been smoking a last cigar, preparatory to going to bed.
Well, Blinky, what brings you here at this time of night?
I thought I'd never get here, Mr. Hickey. You're in trouble. Big trouble.
What's wrong?
Harry Niles and Doc Tobin. They're in the city jail.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah, on the level, Mr. Hickey. I just come from there. Inspector Henderson brought them in. And you should have heard him. He says you framed Perry White in that hit-and-run deal, and not the mayor, the district attorney, nor nobody else can keep him from sending you to the big house.
Henderson, well, I'll stop him right now.
Who are you calling?
Shut up. That dirty Henderson. I'll get him for this like I got everybody else in town who wouldn't play ball with me. Hello. Jerry? Mike Hickey. Listen, Henderson's got Harry Niles and Doc Tobin in the cooler. Yeah. The fat's in the fire for sure unless we work fast. Now listen, here's what I want you to do. You gotta make it good.
Close to midnight in Metropolis. At the Daily Planet, the city room is deserted, save for a lone nightman and a telegrapher. But in Clark Kent's office, Kent and Lois Lane have remained to write page 1 stories for tomorrow's paper. And now, having completed their tasks, they join Candy Myers, who has been waiting for them.
Boy, oh boy, what a night. Huh, Miss Lane?
Oh, you said it, Candy. Too bad you weren't with us, Clark.
Well, you two have described everything so clearly, I feel as if I had been there. Incidentally, Candy, you did a swell job of tracking down Harry Niles.
Oh, thanks. It wouldn't have paid off except with funeral wreaths if not for Superman. Brother, was I glad to see him show up at that quarry.
No more than I was, Candy. But what I'd really like to see is Mike Hickey's face when he reads my page 1 story in the Daily Planet tomorrow.
Me, I want to see his face when Inspector Henderson puts the handcuffs on him.
And when Perry White is elected mayor and Hickey's rotten political machine, the whole kit and caboodle is swept right out onto the street.
You'll see all that next month, Miss Lane.
You hope. Don't forget, Mike Hickey is as slippery as a snake.
Huh? We got Hickey over the barrel now, but good.
Ken's right, Candy.
Who said so? Oh, Inspector Henderson.
Hello, Inspector.
Hi. Come up to join the celebration party?
No, Candy. Ken told me you would be here late, and since I was passing, I thought I'd bring you the bad news in person.
Bad news?
What do you mean, Inspector?
Hickey sprung Niles and Doc Tobin before I could get them to confess.
I don't
How
believe
could he do that, Inspector?
Well, I was just getting them both softened up by telling them they were sure to get a life rap unless they told everything when Jerry Gans, he's Hickey's lawyer, showed up at the jail with the DA.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Gans yelled that I couldn't hold his boys because they weren't booked yet, and the DA backed him up. So I had to take Niles and Tobin before a city magistrate to charge and book them. And, of course, the DA, who was appointed by Hickey, made sure there was a Hickey judge on the magistrate's bench.
Oh, great.
I can see what that means.
Yeah, it means that in spite of everything I could do, the magistrate set a cheap $5,000 a dollar bail for both Niles and Tobin.
Only $5,000 for those murderous...
That's right, Miss Lane. The bondsman who came with Gans stepped right up, slapped down the $5,000, and our case against Hickey walked out of court. Free on bail.
Oh, no.
Jumping Jemima, they'll skip town.
Of course.
Sure. They've already skipped. I only had one man handy, and I put him on their tail. He followed them to the airport, where they took off in a chartered plane.
Oh.
Well, there goes the ball game.
And how? 10-1, they're headed out of the country. And without them to testify against Mike Hickey, we haven't got a case against him. And the big boy is still running this town.
Gentlemen, now that Inspector Henderson's statement has cleared Mr. White and our reform party is back in business again, we've become an even greater threat to Mike Hickey. So we've got to expect trouble and plenty of it.
Trouble? What
You
kind
mean
of
for
trouble?
Mike Hickey, Kent? Right, Chief. After all, tomorrow is primary day. And if you get the 100,000 votes you need to be nominated...
100,000?
Yes.
Well, I'll get to 300,000 votes. Maybe more.
Well, I know.
The people know now I was framed in that phony hit-and-run accident, and even if we can't prove Hickey was behind it, they're plenty suspicious.
That's right, Kent. Our district leaders tell me more voters will go to the polls tomorrow than on any other primary day in the city's history.
I know, Mr. Hollister. But Hickey realizes he's in for a real fight now, and he'll take his gloves off.
Well, let him. We're waking the people up, showing them Hickey can be licked. And we'll keep hammering to get more and more people behind us, and come election day, Hickey and his rotten political machine will be swept into the yash can.
Extra! Perry White and Reform Party candidates win nomination! Extra! Read all about it! Perry White!
Largest primary day turnout in Metropolis history, Perry White, editor of the Daily Planet, and his Reform Party running mates, George Hollister and Bert Gray, polled more than 3 times the votes necessary for nomination. The candidates backed by Mike Hickey's political machine were also nominated easily, but the heavy vote registered by White's Reform Party indicates a close and bitterly contested election next month.
As the jubilant Perry White celebrates the impending defeat of Mike Hickey and his political machine, the fat, heavy-jowled political boss sits in an inner room of his headquarters above a tavern with his 2 chief lieutenants, Andrew High, the mayor of Metropolis, and Peter McCann, the city treasurer. Hickey's fleshy face is set in a deep scowl, and he chews savagely on his ever-present cigar.
We're in trouble, boys. Serious trouble. The Reform Party showed too much strength in the primaries.
No, that doesn't mean anything, Mike. The people are steamed up right now about that hit-and-run frame on Perry White. They'll forget all about it by election time next month.
I'm not so sure, Andy. What do you think, Pete?
I believe Andy's right, Mike. You said yourself 1,000 times the people are too dumb and too lazy to care about politics. They got steamed up today, but it'll pass like it always does, and they'll leave things to us.
Not this time, I'm afraid. The Daily Planet won't let them forget. And if the Morning Bulletin and the Gazette throw their support behind the Reform Party, we're in the soup.
They still can't lick us. After all, 1 out of every 4 registered voters is on the city payroll. Because we put them there, they'll vote for us, so they can stay in the gravy train.
That's true, but that still leaves 3 out of 4, Andy. 3/4 of the voters to vote against us.
Oh, that's nothing. We know that not more than half the voters ever go to the polls anyhow, Mike. We're sure of our gang on the payroll, and if our ward bosses pick up another good block of votes...
Guys, get it through your thick head that this election won't be like all the others. More than half the voters will turn out this time, a lot more, because the Daily Planet keeps them stirred up. The Planet just announced a series of articles by their star reporter, Clark Kent. That'll be dynamite.
I know, Kent. He talks big, but it...
But nothing. He's a smart reporter, that Kent. He's going to ask us what happened to the $5 million fund the people voted for slum clearing and housing. Well, you're the city treasurer, Pete. How will you answer that?
I'll refuse to answer.
That's right, Pete.
Oh, smart. Very smart. Don't you see how that's practically admitting we stole it? And Kent's going to ask us what happened to the $2 million fund for the new playgrounds. How will you answer that, Mr. Mayor?
Well, I'll say the fund's being held in abeyance, pending estimates, plans, etc.
Held in abeyance, huh? Where? In your personal strong box?
That's nobody's business.
No? Now, look here, boys. We may get away with that kind of stuff when the people are asleep, too lazy or too busy making money to care about their own government. But when they've got the biggest newspaper in the city screaming at them day after day to wake up, then we're in trouble.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
You bet I am. We've got to make the Planet shut up.
How?
Wait a minute. Yeah. I think I know how to do it.
You do?
How, Mike?
Why didn't I think of this before? Relax, boys. Just sit back and watch me bust the Daily Planet together with Perry White and Clark Kent. High, wide, and handsome.
His nomination, Editor Perry White spent a busy evening with George Hollister and Bert Gray, planning his campaign for election. Clark Kent worked on his articles exposing Mike Hickey and his machine. Then, planning an early start in the morning, White decided to spend the night in Kent's apartment instead of driving to his suburban home. It is about midnight when the phone rings.
Hello. Yes, this is Clark Kent. Who is it? Oh, hello, Mr. Grayson. How are you?
That John Grayson, our publisher?
It is, Chief. Yes, he's here. Sure, just a minute, please. Wants to talk to you, Chief.
I guess he wants to congratulate me.
Maybe.
Hello, John. How do you feel about your editor being the next mayor of Metrop? Huh? What's that?
He what? What is it, Chief?
Just a minute, Kent. You're kidding. But that's impossible. Why...
Chief,
why,
listen, what is it?
He can't do it, I tell you. Well, I don't know what I'll do, but he can't do it. Oh, why, it'll cost us the election.
Chief, look, will you tell me...
Yes. Yes, all right, John, yes. Yes, we'll be there. Okay. Good night.
Chief, in heaven's name, what is it? Why are you trembling?
You were right, Kent.
About what?
About Hickey.
Uh-oh, what did he do now?
The building commissioner, one of his boys, has condemned the Daily Planet building.
Condemned the Planet building?
Yes. The Planet can't go to press anymore in our building, Kent.
But...
And without the Planet to blast Hickey day after day, we're licked.
Yes, Perry, it looks as if Mike Hickey is too strong for us. I'm afraid we're licked.
Oh, no, we're not, John. We can't let Hickey get away with this. We'll fight him.
Now, just a moment, Chief. On what grounds did the commissioner condemn the Planet building, Mr. Grayson?
Simple but effective grounds, Kent. He claims the rock beneath the building has cracked and is beginning to crumble.
Oh, nonsense.
Well, of course it's nonsense, Perry. Our engineers examined the foundations and underlying rock a short time ago when we were considering adding 3 stories to the building. We found everything in good order. But what can we do about it?
Take him into court. Fight him right up to the Supreme Court if we have to.
That'll take too much time, Chief.
That's right. My lawyers say it might take months to have that condemnation order set aside.
Months? But But Election Day is only 4 weeks away. And we can't beat Hickey unless we keep hammering at him every day in the planet.
Exactly, Perry. That's why I say we're licked.
No, sir. No, sir, I won't admit that.
We've got to face facts, Perry.
Now, wait a minute. I've got an idea.
An idea? What, Kent?
Yes, let's have it.
Besides the Planet, you own several small-town newspapers, don't you, Mr. Grayson?
Why, yes.
Including one in Willow Falls, just 40 miles away?
That's right, the Willow Falls Star.
You have a roomy, modern plant there.
Just what are you getting at, Kent?
Perfectly simple. My idea is to publish the Daily Planet in Willow Falls and truck the papers into Metropolis.
Well, you're out of your mind, Kent.
No, I'm not.
The Star is equipped to print 20 or 30,000 papers a day.
So?
The Planet has a circulation of 500,000 papers a day.
I know that, Chief. But there's a lot of room in the Star plant. We can put in enough linotypes and presses to print all the papers we need.
Impossible, Kent.
Ridiculous. Do you know how long it would take to bring that equipment in from the factories?
A month or two at the earliest.
Well, granted, but I didn't...
Yes, and by that time the elections will be over. No, that's no good.
Now,
Kent.
wait a minute, will you? My idea is to take the linotypes and presses we need from the Daily Planet.
Are you kidding?
No.
You're not very practical, Kent. Those machines weigh several tons apiece. Disassembling them and moving them to Willow Falls would be at least a month's job.
Well, of all the silly ideas.
Oh, really? Well, now, suppose I told you the plant in Willow Falls will be ready to turn out 500,000 papers a day by tomorrow morning.
What? Why, that's so ridiculous, it's funny.
Now, look, Kent, this is no time for jokes. We're in serious trouble.
I'm not joking, Chief, and I'll prove it.
Wait a minute, Kent.
Now, where are you going?
See a man about a moving job.
Now, Kent, don't be a fool.
Now, let's see. Where can I... Oh, I could change in this alley. This is a real job for Superman. Now, let's see. I'd better pick up Pat Murphy, our foreman. Together we can prepare a little surprise for Mr. Grayson and the Chief, and for Mike Hickey. There we are, all set. Up and away! There. Delivery doors are open. You say you want this big press first, Murphy?
That's right. But don't tell me you mean to fly with it. It weighs 10 tons if it weighs an ounce.
That's a flyweight for me. Watch closely, Murphy.
Mother of mercy. You lifted it right off the floor.
Sure, and it'll be in Willow Falls in a matter of seconds. Have those other machines disconnected when I get back, will you? Now, up and away!
Saints alive. He flew away with that 10-ton press like a bird with a straw.
Gasping, Pat Murphy watches Superman disappear through the open delivery doors with the mammoth press. And he has hardly had time to compose himself before the Man of Steel has returned from Willow Falls for another load.
Well, what's next, Murphy?
That number 2 press.
Right you are. Up with it. There. Now, up and away!
I must be dreaming. He done it again.
Like a man in a daze, the planet foreman points out great presses, linotype machines, and huge rolls of paper to Superman, who transports them with incredible speed through the air from Metropolis to Willow Falls. Then, by 7 o'clock in the morning, the reconverted plant of the Willow Falls Star is a beehive of activity as Daily Planet employees, assembled by Foreman Pat Murphy, arrive to man the great presses that turn out the Daily Planet. Soon, a long line of Daily Planet trucks, all with the slogan, Vote Right for Perry White, painted in huge letters on their sides, take on loads of papers and get underway to newsstands throughout Metropolis.
Right. I can't believe it, Kent. I must be dreaming. How did you ever get hold of Superman and persuade him to do this for us?
Well, how I got hold of him is a secret I can't reveal at the moment, Chief, but persuading him to do the job was quite easy. He's right with you in this fight against Mike Hickey. In fact, he's much closer to you than you think.
What was that, Kent?
Huh? Nothing, Chief, nothing.
Oh, boy, if I could only see Hickey's face when he realizes we've trumped his ace again. I'd give a week's salary for his picture when he finds out.
I'd give more than that to know what he's thinking and what he'll do next. Because as sure as there are little green apples, he will do something. And it'll probably be worse than anything he's done before.
Mike Hickey's headquarters above a tavern on Morton Street, an unusual quiet prevails. Through the long, smoke-filled room, ward heelers and political hangers-on, always so loud and assertive, talk in low tones, their eyes shifting uneasily to the oversized barber's chair in the center of the room, where Mike Hickey sits alone, a deep scowl on his heavy-jowled face. At his feet, ripped and trampled in a fit of rage, are shreds of the late edition of the Daily Planet. Torn headlines scream the news of Boss Hickey's unsuccessful attempt to muzzle America's free press. And as his angry glance catches those headlines, yellow lights flare in his deeply pouched eyes. And then the lights burn out, leaving his eyes cold, emotionless, crafty. His heavy head swings to watch the door expectantly, and when a man enters, he nods toward his office. The newcomer is short, slight, quietly dressed, with felt hat pulled low over his eyes. Unobtrusively, he walks around knots of men and into Mike Hickey's private office at the end of the room. Then, heaving himself from his barber's chair, the political boss waddles after him into the office and kicks the door shut behind him.
Took you long enough to get here.
I come as quick as I could, Mr. Hickey. What's on your mind?
There's a man in this town who's lived too long. I want you to get rid of him.
What's his name?
It's written on this piece of paper with his address.
You're kidding, ain't you, Mr. Hickey?
I never kid. You ought to know that. I want this man taken care of tonight.
The little guy who just left here, Mike. Wasn't that the pistol?
Was it, Pete?
I'm sure it was. He had his hat pulled down over his eyes, but I recognized him. What was he doing here?
That's my business.
Now, look, Mike. Anytime the pistol's around, it means there's going to be a funeral. Did you give him an order to rub somebody out?
What makes you say that, Pete?
Because that character wouldn't have been here otherwise.
So?
Mike, have you gone nuts? You've always said, frame a guy, beat him up, but no killings. That's the hardest rap to square. And now you order one yourself.
Well, what of it?
Who is it?
The less you know, the better.
Is it one of our guys? Somebody pull a double cross?
I told you, Pete, for your own good, the less you know.
Perry White, maybe. Holy mackerel, it isn't him, is it?
Look, if you want to play guessing games, get on a quiz show. Anything else you want to see me about?
No, Mike. Nothing else is important. I'm worried. The elections are only a few weeks off, and while we can't lose...
Oh, no?
It'd be bad business to get smeared with a killing.
Well, don't worry. We won't get smeared.
But we might. Inspector Henderson would give his right arm to pin something on you, and... Say, you didn't send the pistol after Henderson, did you?
Never mind what I did, Pete. You just get this through your head. This is one election we can't afford to lose. If we do, we're not only off the gravy train, but you and I and the mayor and the building commissioner and a few of the other boys will go back to the penitentiary.
The penitentiary? Now, look, Mike.
You heard me. If those reform guys get in, they'll put us on trial for stealing public funds and for a lot of other things you know about.
Well, the people would never go along on that.
Oh, no? I can read the cards. And I tell you, they're stacked against us. There's only one thing left to save our machine and our hides. That's the chance I took today.
You mean the pistol?
That's right. There's one man in this town our political lives hinge on. If he's put out of the way, we can still win the election. And we still have things our way.
What man is that?
You'll know tomorrow when you read his death notice.
Well, we'll be at the auditorium in a few minutes, Chief. Got your speech memorized?
I know what I'm going to say, Kent. I've got enough dirt on Hickey to build a mountain, and I'm going to bury him and his whole rotten machine under it.
That's the stuff. Pile it on, Mr. Mayor.
Sounds good, eh? Vote right with Perry White. That's a good slogan you dreamed up, Kent. It's going to help us win.
I sure hope so.
Oh, we can't miss.
Well, everything looks good, all right, but I don't know. I'm still worried.
About what?
Well, I can't understand why Hickey's been so quiet since he failed to muzzle the Daily Planet. He hasn't made a move.
Well, that's because he tried every dirty trick he knew and failed. I think he realizes now that he's licked.
And I don't know, Chief. Hickey's a tough, resourceful customer, you know. He doesn't give up easily.
That's right. But he's smart enough to know that when a whole city rises up against him, as Metropolis is doing, he's done for.
But he can't afford to lose this election. Don't you see, Chief? He knows if he loses, he'll face trial for theft, conspiracy, intimidation. Enough crimes to send him up for life. And so will the rest of his mob. That's why I'm worried about this sudden quiet on his part.
What's there to worry about?
I don't know. It's got a funny feeling that Hickey's cooking up a particularly dirty dish of some sort.
Ah, nonsense, Kent, nonsense. I tell you, Hickey shot his boat and he knows it. Hey, what are we slowing up for?
Oh, we're coming to the auditorium. Wow, look at that crowd, Chief. You're going to have a terrific audience tonight.
Well, they're not coming out just to hear me. The governor's going to be there, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And his support has helped us a lot.
Certainly has. Hey, I don't see...
You don't see what?
Inspector Henderson and his police detail. He promised to be here himself tonight.
What for?
Well, you're a pretty important figure now, Chief.
Oh, you mean you're afraid somebody might try to shoot me or something?
Well, I don't think Hickey would go that far, but you can't...
Oh, you've got Hickey-itis of the brain, Kent. He's too smart to try anything.
Oh, there's Henderson's car now. And 3 squad cars behind him. That's fine. Okay, Chief, here we are. Climb out.
Leaving their taxi in front of the auditorium, Perry White and Clark Kent are taken in tow by Inspector Henderson and a special police detail and escorted through an enthusiastic crowd into the huge building. As they go through the doors, Kent, impelled by some instinct, glances behind him, but fails to notice a short, slight, quietly dressed man with a felt hat pulled low on his forehead who has just alighted from another taxi. Merging with the crowd, the slight man whom we last saw in Mike Hickey's private office moves into the lobby. But instead of continuing into the auditorium, he slips unobtrusively to a stairway and descends to the smoking lounge. There he pauses to light a cigarette, his glance sweeping the room. Then, as the only 2 other men in the lounge start up the stairs to the auditorium, the pistol moves quickly to a small door set in the wall, opens it, and steps into a maze of steam pipes, water pumps, and motors. A narrow, winding iron stairway goes upward along the wall, and swiftly, cat-like, the pistol mounts it and starts climbing. A moment more, and he has passed from sight. Before a huge, enthusiastic crowd in the Metropolis Auditorium, the governor has just introduced Editor Perry White, candidate for mayor on a Reform Party ticket. As thunderous applause breaks out and White walks forward on the stage, Clark Kent, standing at the back of the stage with the governor, glances about him nervously.
What's the matter, Kent? You seem awfully nervous.
I am nervous, Governor. Mr. White is a pretty clear target on this stage.
A target? Oh, come now. Inspector Henderson is right here on the stage, and he has his men planted at all the doors. Nothing can happen to White.
I'm not so sure. Mike Hickey must be desperate right now. Very desperate.
Oh, forget it, Kent. Hickey's too smart to try murder.
I wish I could be sure of that, but... well, I'm uneasy.
As the great crowd applauds Perry White, who comes forward smilingly, holding up a hand to quiet them, the man known as the Pistol is crouched hardly 60 feet away on a narrow iron staircase behind a ventilator grill set into the wall of the auditorium. Taking a long-barreled revolver from his shoulder holster, the Pistol snaps a silencer on its muzzle and sights it through the grilling, taking careful aim at the man on the stage. As his steely eyes fix themselves on his target, he whispers,
"Vote right with Perry White, huh? Okay, Mr. White. Here's your vote from Mike Hickey."
Now, his eyes cold and hard as steel, the Pistol's finger slowly tightens around the trigger of the gun aimed directly at the heart of Perry White. Pistol, hidden on an iron staircase behind a screened ventilator which overlooks the stage, took careful aim at the unsuspecting White and fired. But in a split second, the powder flash attracts the attention of Superman, who, in his guise of Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter, is seated on the stage with the governor and Inspector Henderson. Immediately alert, Kent leaps into action, shouting a warning to White. "Chief, look out!" Kent hurls himself through the air with the speed of light, knocking the astonished editor off his feet as the killer's bullet speeds toward its mark. Suddenly, Perry White falls to the floor of the stage, a widening streak of crimson staining his shirt front.
Chief, are you awake, Kent? Mr. White was hit, Inspector.
I can see that. Harry, keep the crowd away and find a doctor. There must be one in the audience, and nobody leaves this place, get it? Nobody!
A few minutes later, behind the closed and guarded door of a small room under the stage of the auditorium, Clark Kent and Inspector Henderson stand by tensely as a doctor bends over Perry White.
Well, how about it, Doc? Will he be all right?
Yes, he'll be all right, gentlemen.
Oh, good.
It's just a very slight flesh wound. The bullet grazed him in passing.
Oh. Thank heaven.
A half-inch closer, though, and it would have been all over for him. Good thing you moved so fast, Mr. Kent.
Yeah, I never saw anybody move so fast. 1 second you were sitting next to me, Kent. The next you were all the way across the stage. Hey, how in...
Never mind that now, Inspector. I noticed the shot came from behind a ventilator screen under the balcony. Let's have a look up there right now. Come on. The gunman stood on this iron staircase, Inspector, and fired through the grilled ventilator screen.
How do you know, Kent?
Huh? Oh, well, I saw the flash of the gun when he fired. And unfortunately, I didn't have time to get a look at him. I had to move fast.
Get a look at him?
Huh?
How could you have seen him if he was behind this wall?
Well, I did...
Never mind. If he was here, he's probably still in the auditorium someplace.
I'm afraid not. This stairway leads down to the basement, and there are doors from the basement to the alley. He must have skipped.
Could be, but it's worth a look. Come on, we'll go down to the basement. Oh, nobody down here. I guess he did get away, Kent.
Of course he did. If only I'd had time to get a look at him.
There you go again with that nonsensical routine. Who do you think you are, Superman?
Huh? No, what was that?
Skip it. Brother, would I like to get my hands on that would-be killer.
You know, it was only a miracle that White wasn't killed. Now, who do you suppose would want to shoot him?
Mike Hickey?
Huh?
My hunch says Hickey was definitely behind this, and if he was, I'm sure he won't stop with his one attempt to get Mr. White. Look, Inspector, I can't be with White every minute, so I'm going to ask a favor of you. Will you please set a special police detail to watch over him until after the elections?
Well, that's not routine, you know.
I know. But...
And I'd get a lot of criticism from the Hickey mob for it. But I'll see that White gets protection.
Oh, thanks, Inspector. Now, I'd better get back to him.
And I'm going after that gunman. See you later.
Long time no see, Pistol. Where you been keeping yourself?
Ah, here and there. Fill it up again, Eddie.
Okay, chum. There you are. Hey, you think that Reform Party bunch got a chance in the elections, Pistol?
Not a prayer.
I don't know how you can be so sure. That guy Perry White is awful popular. And that stuff he's printing in his paper about Mike Hickey, that ain't doing Mike no good, you know.
Look, all you got to worry about is White being the next mayor. Stop worrying.
You're pretty sure he won't be elected, huh, Pistol?
Me? I know he won't, Eddie.
I sure hope you're right. That Reform bunch would ruin my dice game if they...
Your attention, please.
I want to hear this.
Your attention, please. Perry White, candidate for mayor on the Reform Party ticket, was shot at by an unseen gunman as he spoke to a large crowd at the auditorium this evening.
Well, what do you know?
Fortunately, one of Mr. White's reporters, Clark Kent, who was also on the stage, saw the flash of the gun and managed to hurl White aside, barely in time to save his life. The popular candidate for mayor suffered only a slight flesh wound.
What?
And promises to continue his campaign with his same vigor. Mr. White has left Metropolis Hospital and will spend the night at the newspaper club. We return you now to the music of Johnny Gart.
The newspaper club, huh?
How do you like that, huh? Hey, where you going so fast, Pistol?
I got business to take care of. So long.
Where to, mister?
The newspaper club, Cabby, and step on it.
Okay.
You won't get away this time, Mr. White.
It's getting late, Chief, so I think I'll run along.
I think you'll be safe here.
Oh, sure I will. I tell you, Kent, putting all these guards around me is a lot of tomfoolishness, and I don't like it.
Well, that's too bad. Would you rather stop a bullet as you almost did earlier tonight?
Oh, forget that. Won't happen again.
Oh?
Some crackpot did it, but the police will find him and lock him up.
I don't think it was a crackpot. I still think it was one of Mike Hickey's men.
I told you before, Kent, that's nonsense.
Is it?
Why, of course. Now, look, I don't say Hickey isn't capable of murder, but he's too smart to take a chance on a rap like that.
Well, you're going to be guarded until after the elections, whether you like it or not, and that's that.
Besides, it's too late to argue.
Yes, it is late. Okay. Good night, Chief. I'll see you in the morning.
Good night, Kent. Good night. Leaving, Mr. Kent?
Yes, Riley. I think Mr. White will be safe here with you fellas on watch.
You can bet on that.
I'm sure I can. Good night, Riley.
Good night, Mr. Kent.
Hey, Kowalski.
Yeah, Rosie?
Look up there on Mr. White's windowsill.
Holy mackerel.
Hey, you! What? He's got a gun. Hey, shoot it up. Let him have it. I'll get him. I got him.
Good work, Rosie.
Hey, look out. He's falling. Call an ambulance. Hurry.
Hello?
That's you, Kent?
Yes, who's...
Inspector Henderson. Can you meet me at the city morgue right away?
The morgue? What happened?
That gunman went after Perry White again.
What?
And
You mean he... Mr. White is...
No, easy, son, easy. White's okay, but the gunman's dead. Two of my boys shot him down off White's windowsill.
Oh, I thought maybe...
Looks as if you were right, Kent. I think this guy was working for Mike Hickey.
That's so? How do you know?
I'll tell you as soon as you get out here. I sent a detail out to pick up Hickey and bring him down, too. So hurry up.
Now, wait just a minute, Kent. I have something to ask Mr. Hickey.
All right, Inspector.
Why did you bring me down here, Inspector? You know I'm a busy man.
I know, Mr. Hickey. But this won't take a minute. Can you identify this man?
I never saw the poor fellow before in my life.
You're sure, Mr. Hickey? Sure you never saw the pistol before? When he was alive, I mean?
I don't like your tone, Inspector. I said I never saw this man before, dead or alive. Now, if that's all, I'll be going back home.
Not so fast, Mr. Hickey. I've got something else to show you. This is a telephone message slip, Mr. Hickey. The kind they use at hotels to take messages for guests when they're out. We found it in the pistol's pocket.
Well, what's that got to do with me, Inspector?
Quite a bit. According to the date, this message was taken today, at 9:05 this morning, to be exact. It says, Mr. Hickey called when you were out. Please call him back. Now, do you still say you don't know the pistol?
That's right. I don't know him. And get this, Inspector. I don't know what you're driving at.
I'll tell you what I'm driving at. You got in touch with the pistol this morning. You told him to get rid of Perry White.
You can't prove that message was for me. I'm not the only man named Hickey in Metropolis, you dumb flatfoot.
No, wait just a minute.
Wait a minute, Inspector. Wait a minute. Mr. Hickey, can you deny that you're the only Hickey who has a strong motive for wanting Mr. White out of the way?
You keep out of this, you crummy reporter. How dare you accuse me?
Because I know that first you tried to discredit Mr. White by framing him as a hit-and-run driver. When that didn't work, you tried to shut up the Daily Planet. That didn't work either, and you got scared. You realized White might beat you in the coming elections, and if that happens, you'll wind up in the penitentiary. So you decided to put him out of the way. Doesn't that add up?
It adds up for me.
Huh? Well, try to prove it.
We'll prove it, all right.
You bet we will. Meanwhile, I'm warning you, Mr. Hickey. Keep your hands clean from here in.
Don't make me laugh.
Okay, Hickey. Beat it.
You started something, punks. We'll see who finishes it.
Well, Inspector, he knows we're on his trail now. We've got to move fast before he covers it.
Don't worry, Kent. I'm going to assign every detective on my staff to this case. We'll tie Hickey up with a pistol, or my name isn't Bill Henderson. Good grief, Mike, you say Henderson and Kent know you hired the pistol to get White?
I'm pretty sure of it, Andy. Henderson may know, but he's got to prove it. And we're not going to let him prove it. You're going to kill this investigation right now.
I am?
Yes, you're the mayor, aren't you?
Yes, but I can't call Henderson off now. That's practically admitting you're guilty. Where the newspapers will raise such a stink, the governor will step into the picture.
I don't mean to do it that way, stupid. I want you to get rid of Henderson.
Get rid of him? How?
I've got something figured out. We'll get Henderson out of the way and one of our own boys in as police inspector. Then we'll not only be able to get to Perry White, but we can fix this town so we have to be reelected. Now listen while I tell you what.
Molly, if all goes well, I'll get the goods on Mike Hickey today. That'll be the end of that crook and his dirty politicians in Metropolis.
Oh, I hope so, Bill. I know how hard it's been for you trying to do an honest job. All those grafters and gangsters around you.
I wanted to quit many a time. But I knew if I did, Hickey and the mayor would make one of their stooges police inspector, and it wouldn't be safe for the ordinary citizen to walk on our streets.
Oh, you're a good man, Bill. If I do say so myself, I shouldn't.
Oh, go on. Uh-oh. Don't tell me we're getting company this early.
Must be the mailman. I'll go see. Yes?
The inspector in there?
Why, yes, but
He'll be glad to see me.
But
Hi, Inspector.
Casino. What are you doing here?
I come to see you like you told me to, Inspector.
What are you talking about? I don't invite racketeers to my house. Now go on and beat it.
Not so fast, Inspector. I brought the stuff. Look at it.
Wait, Molly. What? Say, what are you dumping that money on my table for?
You don't have to put on an act for me, Inspector. This is the cut you asked for laying off my shakedown racket in the food market.
I asked for? Why, you dirty...
What does this mean?
Oh, it's some kind of a trick, Molly. Now, look, Casino, I'll give you just 1 minute to get...
boys, come on in. We've got him with the goods.
Mayor, hi.
What are you doing here?
So, the honest Inspector Henderson is shaking down racketeers.
Now, listen, I know... Oh, I get it now, Mr. Mayor. This is a frame-up.
No, Inspector.
Answer me. It is a frame-up, isn't it?
That kind of talk won't do you any good, Henderson.
Huh?
We've got you cold. All right, boys, escort Mr. Henderson downtown.
Oh, wait a minute.
We'll relieve him of his badge at headquarters.
Oh, Bill.
We've got to find some way to clear Henderson before Election Day. We've just got to. Election Day is only 2 weeks off, Chief.
That's right.
Well, we'll have to clear him before that. Now, Kent, I want you to get working on this at once. And you too, Lois.
Okay, Chief.
Get Tony Sloan and Sam French in on this, too. They're both crack reporters.
Right.
Tell them to drop everything else and concentrate on this story. Now, Kent, you see Henderson at once and find out all he knows. Right. There's one other thing I must do first. What's that? Who are you calling? Candy Myers?
What for?
We've got to get the chief a new bodyguard. Are you kidding?
He has a bodyguard, Clark, Inspector Henderson's man.
That's right. Now, wait a minute. Joseph Hatton is the new inspector, and he's a Hickey man. You don't think Hatton will protect Hickey's chief opponent, do you?
Good heavens. I never thought of that.
Oh.
Hickey can make another try at you now,
Oh,
Chief.
nonsense. Hickey wouldn't dare try anything like that again. Yeah, says you... Hello, Candy. Yeah, this is Clark Kent. Okay. Listen, Yes, I know. That's why I called you. Uh-huh. I want you to assign a bodyguard for Mr. White at once. I don't need a bodyguard, I tell you. Good boy. Right. Thanks, Candy. So long.
Now, listen, Kent. I'm not a baby. I know how to take care of myself.
I know. You know all about taking care of yourself, but you're in danger of your life. Hickey made 2 tries at you last night, and there's nothing to stop him from trying again. Well, now, look, Chief. I'm going to see Henderson, but I want your promise not to leave this office until Candy and his men arrive. Well, all right.
I promise to see that he stays put until Candy gets here, Clark.
Okay, Lois. I'll see you both later. Glad to see you're not in jail, Inspector.
I will be, Kent. If Hickey's party wins the elections. Yeah, that'll give him a chance to go ahead with a framed trial. Then I'll really be a cooked goose.
Relax. We're going to clear you before the elections and use then the evidence of the frame to cook Hickey's goose.
That's impossible, Kent.
We'll see. This casino that the racketeer Hickey sent to your house, what do you know about him?
Oh, plenty. He runs a mob I've been after for a long time.
Oh?
Yeah, they operate a shakedown racket at the city markets. You know, selling what they call protection to the merchants. That means the merchants kick in regularly with a fat fee, or casinos boys spill acid on their fruits and vegetables.
Hey, nice boy.
Yeah.
How does he get away with operating at the food market?
Oh, easy. He splits his graft with the commissioner of markets, a Hickey man. But you won't find Casino there now, if that's what you have in mind.
How do you know?
Because I've checked.
Oh?
He's in the special custody of the DA, also a Hickey man.
Uh-oh.
Which means nobody can get to him.
Yeah.
You see, Hickey isn't taking any chances.
Well, that kind of stymies us.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
Yeah. Look, Inspector. Maybe we can get Hickey the way you started to, by proving that he hired that gunman. What was his name? The pistol?
Yeah.
To get rid of Mr. White. Tell me how far you went, and I'll carry on from there.
Oh, forget it, Kent. You can't get to first base on that angle without the cooperation of the police department. And Hickey Stooge, the new inspector, certainly isn't going to cooperate with you. Do you think?
No, hardly. But maybe there's some way to...
No. I know what I'm talking about, Kent.
No.
I'm done for unless Perry White and the Reform Party licks Hickey's machine in the elections. And frankly, with Joe Hatton, the new inspector of police, I'd say White and your Reform Party haven't a chance.
Why do you say that, Inspector?
Look, I don't want to scare you, Kent. But with me out, there's nobody to keep Mike Hickey in check.
No, that's true.
You think he's done plenty already, framing Joe Martin and me, trying to shoot Perry White? Well, take it from me, you haven't seen anything yet. Not anything.
We find out that Inspector Henderson is right, as we hear fat political boss Mike Hickey in a private conference with a heavy-set, star-faced young man.
You got everything organized, Lou? Boys all ready?
Everything's all set, Mr. Hickey.
Good. Now get this. The lid goes off this town tonight, you understand? I want every citizen in Metropolis to realize that if they vote for Perry White and his Reform Party, if they even listen to one of their speakers, they're taking their lives in their hands. Is that clear?
Yeah, plenty.
Okay. Now go to it. Spread the word.
Scene is Metropolis Square that evening, where a large crowd of people is congregated around a sound truck. On the sides of the truck, emblazoned in huge letters, is the slogan, "Vote Right with Perry White." Addressing the crowd from the tailboard of the truck through a public address microphone is Lois Lane, girl reporter.
But when Hickey found that he couldn't stop us from printing the planet, he realized that he might lose the elections. So he hired a gunman to kill Perry White. Fortunately, Inspector Henderson's men shot the gunman at Mr. White's window, and Henderson provided Mr. White with a police bodyguard. So, Mike Hickey's reply to that was to frame Henderson. And now, to top everything, Hickey Stooge Mayor appoints Joe Hatton as police inspector. Joe Hatton. A man who was on the force several years ago as a captain, and who was then prosecuted and sent to jail for withholding evidence in a murder case. That's the kind of a man Hickey and the mayor appoint as inspector. How do you like that?
On the outskirts of the crowd, Lou Evans, the heavy-set, scar-faced young man, raises his hand significantly to several husky, tough-looking men near him, then whistles shrilly. At the signal, some 50 men start moving through the crowd from every direction, pushing, slugging, swinging blackjacks, moving toward the sound truck and Lois Lane.
Remember, a vote for Perry White! Keep away from this crowd. Come on, boys!
Lois,
Lois, what in the world?
What happened to you, Lois?
Just a broken arm, Clark, and a few bruises.
Just a broken arm?
For Pete's sake, what happened?
Were you in an accident?
No. A gang of ruffians showed up at my Reform Party rally in the square this evening.
What?
They were obviously a Hickey goon squad, and one of their cute little tricks was to tip over the sound truck I was standing on.
Tip it over? Great Caesar, you might have been killed.
Sure, and so might a lot of other people who were there. 12 people were brought in here with me, Chief, I understand, because, besides tipping over the truck, the strong-arm boys worked the crowd over with brass knuckles and blackjack.
Great. Well, where were the police? So why didn't they stop it?
There wasn't one single police officer there, Chief.
Naturally.
But they're supposed to be on hand at all political meetings. Where were they?
Oh, now look, Chief. Joe Hatton, Mike Hickey's stooge, is our new police inspector. You don't expect him to protect our meetings, do you?
Of course not.
Oh, this is too much. Jim Olsen just gets out of the hospital where Hickey's goons put him, and now Lois goes to the hospital.
Well, this is Hickey's warning to the people to stay away from our Reform Party meetings and from the polls on Election Day unless they want their heads broken.
But that's virtually removing the power of the law.
Yes, Hickey is no better than Hitler. He's saying vote for my party or don't vote at all.
Exactly, Lois.
Well, now, do you see what happens when people are either too lazy or too busy making money to make sure only honest men are elected to office? Gangsters like Mike Hickey take over a city, and then they just try and get rid of them.
Don't you worry, Chief. We are going to get rid of him.
Well, how? That's what I'd like to know.
So would I.
You'll find out, and so will Mike Hickey. So long, everybody. I'll see you later.
Hurrying from Lois Lane's hospital room, Clark Kent steps into a deserted stair hall and swiftly resumes his true identity of Superman. A few moments later, a tall, broad-shouldered figure in the familiar blue costume and crimson cape enters the office of Hubert Mason, manager of the United Broadcasting Company.
Good evening, Mr. Mason.
Good heavens. Superman.
That's right, sir. I come to ask a favor of you.
Of course, anything I can do.
Thank you. I'd like your permission to make an announcement over the air. In return, I can offer you a terrific scoop for your next news broadcast. What do you say?
Why, this is most unusual, but, well, all right, Superman, if you say so. Just come this way. Stand by, please. Okay, Superman, you're on the air.
Citizens of Metropolis, this is Superman speaking to you. It is no secret that your city is in the hands of an evil and corrupt political machine, controlled by a ruthless dictator whom you know. Now, this man, speaking through his newly appointed inspector of police, has threatened to keep you from exercising your rights as free Americans to meet in open assembly and to cast your votes for candidates of your own choice. He has threatened that if you attempt to exercise your rights, his gangster followers will attack you and that your own police force will not protect you. Now listen, please, to my answer to Mike Hickey and my promise to you.
Holy smoke. Be quiet, Andy. I want to hear this.
That his Hitler tactics will not succeed in Metropolis. And I warn him to quit before it is too late. And to you, citizens of Metropolis, I say go on, attend your political meetings and rallies. Go to the polls on Election Day and vote for the candidates of your choice.
Turn the radio off,
I promise
Andy.
that no harm will come to you.
Good grief, Mike, this is terrible. Now, what do we do?
What a stupid fool you are, Andy. You don't really believe that was Superman, do you?
Well, he said so. You mean you don't think it was?
Of course not. This is a trick by Perry White and Clark Kent to try to scare me, Mike Hickey. Those chumps must think I was born yesterday.
Well, what about the people? They'll believe it was Superman, that he'll protect them somehow.
They'll learn better tomorrow night if they dare to show up at any other neighborhood rallies run by White's Reform Party. We turned 50 tough boys loose on them tonight. We'll turn 100 loose tomorrow night.
Oh, boy.
When we break another couple hundred sickheads in this town, the people will know I mean business. They won't go to the polls on Election Day, except the ones we know, and they'll vote for us. Superman. Is that a joke?
Mike Hickey's goons, eh? Pete, look! It's Superman!
That's a radio warning, I see. Okay, maybe this will convince him. And you!
And in Lincoln Square, a gang of at least 50 hoodlums attempted to break up a Reform Party rally tonight, but were routed and dispersed by Superman, who appeared suddenly out of the air to administer a sound prompting to each.
That Lincoln Square affair should show Mike Hickey I mean business. But if it doesn't, then he wants more convincing. Wait a minute. Looks like trouble at that rally in Metropolis Park. Away!
First, another gang of hoodlums who attempted to break up a Reform Party meeting in Metropolis Park. We return you now to... One moment, please. I have just been handed another report. At least 20 men armed with blackjacks attacked a Reform Party rally at First Street and Elm a few moments ago. But they quickly fled from the scene when Superman dropped down on them from the sky. It appears that Superman is being...
Reform Party headquarters the next morning, Editor Perry White, candidate for mayor, and reporters Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen were jubilant. Only Clark Kent, who, unknown to all, is Superman, failed to join the festivity.
Yes, sir. It's all over but the shouting. Mike Hickey can have his new police inspector stooge. We've got Superman on our side.
Yeah, man, the elections are in the bag. Let me be the first to congratulate you, Mr. White. I mean, Mr. Mayor. Or wait, do we say Your Honor now?
Of course,
Oh, thank you, one and all.
Say, you haven't congratulated our new mayor yet, Mr. Kent.
I'll congratulate him when he's elected, Jim.
Why, he's as good as elected right now.
I'm not so sure.
What? Huh?
You all seem to be forgetting an individual named Mike Hickey.
What about him?
Well, he's not licked yet. Hickey is cunning, tough, and unpredictable. He realizes if he loses this election, he'll go to the penitentiary. I'm afraid he won't stop at anything.
Well, Kent, the elections are now just 5 days off. Still worried about Mike Hickey?
You bet I am, Chief. More than ever.
Well, tomorrow's election day, Kent, and there hasn't been a peep out of Hickey so far. What have you got to say now?
Just that I wish this were the day after tomorrow and the elections were over. I still think Hickey will try something, Chief.
Go on. If he's as smart as you say he is, he'll try to get lost before the votes are counted. Yes, sir. There'll be a hot time in the old town tonight.
At Mike Hickey's headquarters, an air of deep gloom prevails. In the long, smoke-filled room, ward heelers and political hangers-on stand about silently, scowling at each other. Suddenly, Mike Hickey enters. A low buzz of surprise runs through the room as Hickey, his moon-like, heavy-jowled face spread in a wide grin, hums gaily and offers jovial greetings to his supporters.
Hiya, Frankie.
Frank.
How you doing, Mort?
That's
What gives around here? Cheer up, cheer up. You all look like you're at a wake. Come on, Punchy, put a smile on your face. Say, what's the matter with all of you? Is the world coming to an end or something?
Well, maybe it might just as well after tomorrow, boss.
Oh, so that's it, eh? You think we're going to lose the election, huh?
Well, the papers say how the Reform Party's going to win by a landslide.
Is that so?
Yeah. That Superman, he done his dirt.
Don't worry about Superman. Mike Hickey talking. The mayor, put him on. Hello, Andy, what's in your mind? Yeah, I've just been hearing about the papers. Don't tell me you believe them, too. Eh? Now, listen, didn't I tell you 2 weeks ago we had the election in the bag? Sure, I still say so. We'll win easy.
Hey, Harry, you hear that, huh?
Yeah, he must have drank too much beer.
Never mind how, Andy. All you gotta know is you're staying in City Hall a long time yet. Yeah? Just be sure to stay close to your radio tonight and you'll hear something. Something awful good. Right. So long. Here, take the phone away, Punchy.
Yeah, okay, boss. Hey, listen, do you mean it? I mean it, we're going to win tomorrow, do you, huh?
You bet your bottom dollar I mean it. Yes, sir, all these wise guys who think Mike Hickey is done for in this town are going to get a big surprise. Yeah, a big surprise. Come on, Punchy, smile. Smile.
As Mike Hickey's followers stare at him in wonder, unable to understand his confidence, Clark Kent and Perry White have gone from their political headquarters to the Daily Planet's temporary offices in nearby Willow Falls. There, Kent has found a new reason for concern.
You sure you didn't see or hear from Jim this morning, Chief?
I just told you I didn't, Kent.
That's strange. Wonder where he is.
Well, the chances are he stopped off at campaign headquarters.
We just came from campaign headquarters and Jim wasn't there, so where do you
Great
think...
Caesar, Kent. You do more fretting about Olson than a mother hen over her chicks. Now, listen, I want to get this...
Hello? Oh, Mrs. Olson. Yes, I was just going to call you. Did Jim leave? What? What did you say?
What's the matter, Kent?
He didn't, but...
What is it?
Just a moment, Chief. Why, no, I thought... Oh, no, wait, Mrs. Olson, don't get excited. No, I'm sure everything's all right. Yes, I will. I'll look into it and call you right back. Of course I will. Goodbye.
Kent, you're as pale as a ghost. What happened?
That was Jim's mother.
I know it was Jim's mother, but what did she say?
She says she spent last night with her sister, who isn't well. She just got home and discovered that Jim's bed wasn't even slept in last night.
What?
Yes. Apparently he left the house last night and he never came back.
Oh, I'll take it, Chief.
I got it, Lois. Hello, Perry White speaking.
Hello, Mr. White. This is Jim.
Jim?
Yeah.
Jimmy. Is that Jimmy, Chief?
Oh, yes. Listen, boy, you had us scared out of our wits. Where are you? What happened?
I can't talk long, Chief. But listen, whatever they tell you, don't do it. Understand? I don't care what happens to me.
What are you talking about, Jim? Jim!
What is it, Chief?
He stopped talking. Jim!
Hello, Mr. White.
Well, who's this? Where's Jim Olsen?
Hold the receiver so I can hear.
Olsen's right here with us.
Well, who are you?
Shut up and listen. If you want to see Jim Olsen again alive, get on the radio before 11 o'clock tonight and announce your withdrawal as candidate for mayor. You got that?
What? Now, listen, mister, whoever you are.
Just do as you're told, Mr. White. Get on the radio before 11 o'clock and announce you're no longer a candidate for mayor. If you don't do it by 11 o'clock, Jim Olsen is finished.
It's fairly plain, Chief, that Mike Hickey is behind this. He had Jim taken somewhere, and now he's using the boy as a lever to force you to withdraw from the mayoralty race.
Good heavens. Do you really think Hickey'd go that far?
No, of course he would. Oh, what time is it?
Oh, let's see. It's almost 7 o'clock.
Well, that fellow on the phone told me if I didn't withdraw as a candidate by 11, Jim would be finished.
Oh, dear. What can we do?
Only one thing. I've got to withdraw from the race.
Oh, no, Chief, you can't. There's too much at stake in this election.
I know. But you don't expect me to stand by and see harm done to Jim, do you?
No, of course
now,
not.
Don't worry. Nothing will happen to Jim. I'll personally see to that.
You will?
Yes.
But what can you do, Clark?
Well, I'm pretty sure I can make Hickey produce Jim, and fast.
Oh, you must be out of your mind. Lois, you call Candy Myers. Call the FBI. Call... No, wait, Kent, where are you going?
See Mike Hickey.
No, Clark, don't you get hurt.
Kent, come back here.
I will soon, but not without Jim.
Hurrying from Perry White's office, Clark Kent secretly resumes his true identity of Superman and streaks to Mike Hickey's political headquarters. Failing to find the fat political boss there, he hurtles to Hickey's home, only to draw a blank again. Then once more he takes to the skyways. And as we rejoin him now, he is at the home of Andrew High, mayor of Metropolis, and Mike Hickey's henchman.
Where is Mike Hickey, Mr. Mayor?
I don't know, Superman.
I think you do. And I advise you to tell me the truth.
What do you mean?
You know Mike Hickey is holding Jim Olsen, that one of Hickey's men called Perry White a little while ago to say Jim would be killed unless Mr. White withdrew from tomorrow's election.
Good heavens, I can't believe, I can't understand.
Stop acting and tell me where he is.
Now, see here, you can't talk to me that way.
How would you expect anyone to talk to a man who swears to be an honest mayor and then sells out the city to a crooked political boss?
Now, you see here...
We're wasting time. I want Hickey, and I want him fast. Now, where is he?
I tell you, I don't know.
I don't believe you. Hickey's housekeeper said he was having dinner with you. So speak up now,
He did have dinner with me, but he left about half an hour ago.
Where did he go?
I don't know. He didn't tell me.
Who else was here at dinner?
Inspector Haddon.
Oh, well, he's the man I want to see then. But first, just one thing more, Mr. Mayor. If you should see or talk to Mike Hickey, tell him this, that unless he produces Jim Olsen quickly and uninjured, he'll be the sorriest man alive. Think hard, Inspector. Are you quite sure Mike Hickey didn't tell you where he was going after you and he left the mayor's house this evening?
I'm sure he didn't, Superman. He dropped me off at the headquarters and went on in his car.
Well, he didn't go to his home. He didn't go to his office. He didn't go to City Hall. Where else could he have gone?
How would I know? Am I his keeper?
Maybe not, but I'm going to make you his keeper to save your own skin.
What are you talking about?
I'll draw you a diagram. Mike Hickey is holding Jim Olsen. I want you
Crazy.
to... Crazy.
Mike wouldn't do a thing like that.
Don't try to kid me, Inspector. He'll do anything to stay in power, even murder, as you know very well.
Now, look here.
I want you to bring him in.
I will not. Who do you think you're talking to?
Bring him in, Inspector. Or so help me, I'll take you 10 miles up in the air and keep you there until you do.
You wouldn't dare try anything like that.
I'll show you how wrong you are right now.
No, let go of me. Let go. I can't bring Mike in. I don't know where he is.
I think you know where to look for him. But if you don't, you've got 2,000 police officers to help you find him.
But look here.
Put out a general alarm for Hickey and for Jim Olsen. I want one or both of them brought in before 11 o'clock tonight.
It's 9 o'clock already, Chief.
I know, Lois, I know. And where's Kent? Only 2 hours left to go, and still we don't hear from him.
I'm sure he's doing all he can, but
here he is now.
Clark,
well, Kent?
No, not yet. No luck at all. I can't find Hickey anywhere.
Oh, dear, that's bad.
I knew it. Hickey planned this too well, so now we're late.
Maybe not, Chief. I've had Inspector Hatton put out a general alarm for Hickey. If he brings him in, I promise I'll find Jim.
No, forget it. Hatton won't bring him in. He's Hickey's stew.
Why, of course. Certainly he won't do
I know, but maybe to save his own skin, he'll...
Not a chance, Kent, not a chance. We'll wait one more hour. Then we'll go over to the radio studio, and I'll withdraw from the race.
No, Chief.
It's the only thing we can do to save Jim's life.
It's 9:30, Mr. Hickey. That guy White sure is taking his time about quitting.
Yes. But he'll withdraw from his candidacy before 11 o'clock, Pete. You can count on that.
Well, I hope you're right. I don't like this kind of stuff. It's a federal rap, you know. Not even you can fix that.
Don't worry. As soon as White makes his little announcement, you can drive Olson out someplace and turn him loose. You've worn a mask all the time, so he won't be able to identify you. And he's never seen me, so everything will be fine.
Maybe. But you never can tell. I'd feel a lot better if we, bumped them off.
That wouldn't be smart. If you did that, he... Oh, wait, what's that?
It's only Olson trying to get loose and get the gag out of his mouth. He'll get tired soon.
Oh. You know, Pete, White and Clark Kent and their reform crowd thought they had me over the barrel. Yeah, even our own boys were ready to throw in the sponge and run. But I told them I'd find a way to win the election tomorrow. And I have.
You're sure White will quit, huh?
I was never more sure of anything in my life. White loves this Olson kid like a son. He won't want to see anything happen to him.
What?
Who opened Olson's door?
I'll see. Hey, tell him stop, Mr. Hickey, bumping against it. There ain't no lock on it.
Well, shut up, you fool! Look, he sees me. He'll be able to identify me.
Yeah, that dirty little...
Shut up. You know, Olson, that was a dumb thing to do because we were going to let you go after Perry White announced his withdrawal from the election. But now it's different. I'm afraid Pete here will have to get rid of you.
Yeah. And I'll do it right now.
Wait, put that gun down.
Yeah, but Mr. Hickey, you said...
You want all the neighbors and the cops to come barging in?
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a way to do it without making any noise.
Hold it, Pete, hold it. I don't want to be around when you do this job. You see, I always make it a practice to be somewhere else when there's any rough stuff, so I can't be tied up with it. Throw the boy back in the other room and come back here. You can do away with him after I leave.
Yeah, but...
Do as I say and hurry up.
Okay.
What happened to the radio? It's not going.
Well, I must have turned off when you tipped it over.
How do you like that? Perry White must have been on the air while this thing was turned off. They're playing music. He's not on the air now. Bastard, we might have missed him. Pete!
Yeah?
Is this phone connected?
Yeah, I had it hooked up the other day like you said.
Good.
What are you calling, Mr. Hickey?
The mayor. He'll know if White resigned yet, as we ordered him to.
Yeah, he ought to know, I guess.
Hello? That's you, Andy? Mike Hickey. Listen, my radio was off for a minute or two. Did White go on the air and withdraw his candidacy yet? Oh, he didn't, huh? He will. What? What's that? Superman's looking for me?
Superman?
He made Inspector Hatton put out a general alarm for me?
What?
Well, don't worry, Andy. Hatton and I understand each other. Superman will never find me. Yeah, you just sit tight. You don't know anything about Jim Olson's disappearance or where I am or anything else. Get it? That's right. You don't know from nothing. Yeah. Good night, Andy. Pete.
Yeah, boss?
See, it's just 3 minutes to 10. We gave White until 11 o'clock to withdraw his candidacy. Give him another ring, just to remind him we're not kidding.
Okay.
Then as soon as he goes in the air, I'll leave. And you can take care of Olson.
What time is it now, Lois?
It's, 2 minutes to 10, Chief.
No word from the FBI yet, or Candy Myers or the police.
Did Ken get back?
No, not yet. He's still out looking.
I'm afraid Hickey's too much for us, Lois. We don't know how to fight a man who'll stoop to anything to gain his end.
Well, maybe. But we're not licked yet, Chief. We've still got 1 hour.
Oh, we'll wait. We'll wait till the last possible minute, of course. But wait now. Maybe this is good news.
Oh, I hope.
Perry White speaking.
We've only got an hour left, White.
Oh, it's you again.
Who is it, Chief?
Yeah, it's me. I'm just calling to remind you. If you want to see Jim Olsen alive again, get to a radio station before 11 o'clock and announce you're withdrawing as candidate for mayor. So long.
Wait, listen.
Chief, who is it?
Quiet, Lois. Listen.
Yeah?
If I do as you say, do you guarantee nothing will happen to Jim?
Sure, Mr. White. Sure. But if you don't, well, you know, so long.
Oh, wait a minute. Hello. Oh, he hung up.
Was that the man who has Jim?
Yes. He called to remind me I had only until 11 o'clock. After that, Jim would be...
Oh, what are we going to do?
Oh, I can't think of a thing, Lois, but to give up. Come on.
Where?
To the United Broadcasting Company studio. We've got to be there before 11 o'clock.
In the northwest section of Metropolis, in an apartment occupied by a family named Davis, the twins, Donald and Buddy, aged 12, are preparing for bed.
Oh, boy, I can't wait till tomorrow when the scout troop goes on that hike, Buddy.
Me either. You know, Don, I wish I was old enough to vote in the elections. I'd vote for Mr. White for mayor, like Dad and Mom are going to do.
Yeah, me too. That Mike Hickey's no good.
No, sir. Hey, Superman showed him where to get off, though, didn't he?
You said it. Gee, I wish I could get to see Superman sometime.
Me too.
Hey,
you know,
the boys in bed yet?
Oh, just about, Dad.
We will be in a minute.
Well, you'd better be if you want to go on the Boy Scout hike tomorrow. Good night.
Good night, Dad.
Good night.
It's your turn to open the window and turn off the lights tonight, Buddy. And I get to sleep in the upper bunk.
Go on, you slept there last night.
I did not. You did. It's written down right here in the record book, see?
Okay, you win.
Go on, Buddy. Open the window.
I will.
Are the stars out?
Uh-huh. What'll be a good day for the hike tomorrow?
Oh, that's swell. Hey, what are you standing at the window for, Buddy? You better get to bed.
Don, come here. Quick.
What for?
Come here, I tell you. Hurry up.
Oh, no. You just want me to get out of bed so you can grab the upper bunk.
No, I don't, honest. Something funny going on. Please come here.
Well...
Hurry up, will you?
Okay, I'm coming. What is it?
Look out there. Down the alley. See?
See what?
Oh, not that way, Dopey. Over there. Now do you see?
You mean those lights?
It's just one light, going off and on. I think it's a flashlight. And it's in the upstairs window. Somebody must be in the old riding stable.
Gosh, it is in the old stable. Gee, you think a burglar got in there?
Oh, what would a burglar want in that old stable? There's not a thing in it.
I know, but...
Don, I think those are signals.
Signal?
Uh-huh. Look. Dot, dash, long dash, dot.
Gosh, the Morse code.
Yeah, but who could be in that old stable? And sending out messages in Morse code?
Gee, I don't know.
Wait, let's see if we can spell out the message.
Well, I'll be out that old... Let go of me.
What's the matter, Pete? What's he got there?
Oh, flashlight.
Flashlight?
Yeah. Oh, there. Now, come on, you. Look at this, Mr. Hickey. A fountain pen flashlight. Olsen got his hands free and was flashing the light through that crack in the window board.
Why, you dirty little...
Don't you touch me,
punker.
Mr. Hickey. I'm sure somebody saw my signal, and if you do anything to me, you'll get in trouble.
Hey, somebody might have seen it, Mr. Hickey.
Yeah. We gotta get out of here, Pete, fast.
Sure, but how about Olsen?
We'll leave him here.
What? When he knows who we are and can talk?
He won't talk. Not the way we leave him.
I get it.
No, wait.
Shut up, you. Let him have it, Pete.
No, put that gun away.
So long.
Please, it's Superman.
Right, Jim. Now, my murdering friend.
Now, you...
Go, get him.
Try this for size.
Yippee, one down.
Now, Mr. Hickey, I've got you just where I want you.
No, let me go. You've got nothing on me.
Nothing except a charge of abduction and attempted murder, and abduction is punishable by death in this
Now,
state.
wait a minute. Listen, I'll make a deal with you.
Get him.
No one makes deals with me, Hickey.
Stand by
got to...
for a very
Wait.
important announcement by Perry White.
Wait a minute.
Candidate for mayor on the Reform Party ticket.
He's gonna resign. You're too late, Superman.
He's right.
Oh, no. Up with you, Hickey. And your unconscious friend here.
No, let me go.
Now, you, Jim.
You're on the air, Mr. White.
Oh, gosh, hurry, Superman.
Hang on, Jim. Up and away!
And so, fellow citizens, for reasons beyond my control, I find it necessary to withdraw...
Hold it, Mr. White.
Chief.
Great Caesar, Superman! And Jim.
And look who we brought along.
Mike Hickey.
Now, listen, White. We can still get together. I've got a proposition.
Keep talking, Hickey. Let me get the microphone, please, Mr. White.
Why, sure.
Now, this is Superman, ladies and gentlemen. And the voice you hear whining in the background is that of Mike Hickey, whom I just prevented from stealing tomorrow's election and murdering a young reporter named Jim Olsen. Now, listen, ladies and gentlemen, while I tell you the
With half the votes counted in today's elections, Perry White and his Reform Party running mates are leading the Hickey machine candidates by an overwhelming majority. Voters are going to the polls in the greatest turnout in metropolis history. And everywhere you hear the slogan, "Vote right with Perry White."
Extra paper! Perry White elected mayor. Reform Party wins in landslide election. Extra Perry
Congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you,
Congratulations, Chief.
Congratulations, Mr.
Thank
Mayor.
you, Lois and Jim. Thank you, one and all.
Any statement for the press, Mr. Mayor?
Why, yes. This
Hey, wait till I get my pencil.
victory of the Reform Party proves that the people of Metropolis and of every city, town, and village in America can have an honest government, free of crooked professional politicians, if they'll only take the trouble to see that honest men are nominated and elected at the polls.
You said it, Mr. Mayor.
Say, what about Hickey? What'll happen to him?
He's in jail, Jim, awaiting trial.
Well, how about Bill Henderson, Chief? Mr. Mayor.
Well, my first official act as mayor will be to reinstate Henderson as police inspector, Lois.
Good for you. That's wonderful. Come on,
Chief.
gang, all together. For he's a jolly good
fellow.
fellow. For he's a jolly good fellow. He's a jolly good fellow.
I'll take it, Chief.
Jolly good fellow. For he's a jolly good fellow. For he's
Hello?
a jolly good fellow.
What? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Hold it just a second, please. Hey, Lois, Jimmy,
Quiet,
everyone,
Jim.
please, wait a minute. Hold it. Thanks. Hello.
Hello. I would like, please, to speak to Mr. Clark Kent.
Well, this is Clark Kent speaking.
Good. Mr. Kent, my name is Klein.
Yes?
I own a little candy store on Mulberry Street. And the reason I'm calling you, Mr. Kent, is because...
Hello? Hello?
Mr. Kent, he just came in my store.
What?
I need help.
Hello? Hello?
What is it?
Hello? Hello? Operator, trace that call if you can. I'll hold on.
Oh, hang up, Kent. Let him call you back.
No, someone's in trouble. I heard a muffled cry over the phone.
Who was calling?
A man named Klein says he owns a candy
Fleets
store.
and lizards. Pop Klein.
Do you know him, Jimmy?
Do I know him? Why, any kid who ever went to the Mulberry Street School knows Pop Klein. He's one of the swellest old guys you'd ever want to meet. Well, I remember one time...
Do you know where his candy store is?
Well, of course, it's a block from the school.
Lois, tell the operator never mind that trace. Come on, Jim. We're going down there.
In the back room of a small candy store on Mulberry Street, an elderly gray-haired man with stooped, work-worn shoulders has been forced into a chair. A huge bull-necked ruffian with tiny, bloodshot eyes and thick, ugly lips looms over him.
I'm giving you one more chance, Klein. You're going to handle them punch boards?
I can't put out punch boards for children to throw away their nickels.
What do you mean you can't? The kids eat 'em up.
But it's like stealing. Nobody ever wins.
So what? They keep trying, don't they? And every nickel comes in, you and us split. There's 1,000 chances on each of them boards. That's $25 apiece.
What do the children get for their nickels? Does even one child ever win anything?
Are you nuts? None of them punch boards are on the level. They're all fixed.
That's why I don't want them in my store.
Better those nickels should buy butter and milk and eggs.
What's it to you how they spend their dough?
To me, it's a lot. This is a poor neighborhood. Prices for food are high enough. Children shouldn't be throwing away nickels on gambling. And such gambling, nobody wins.
Okay, wise guy. Get up on your feet.
No.
Come on, out.
Please. I'm an old man.
You ain't so old you can't be taught a lesson. And the boys don't call me Muscles for nothing. You gonna put them punch boards in?
No, I can't. I can't do it.
Maybe you'll change your mind after...
Crumpling under the savage blows of the punchboard racketeer, old Pop Klein drops to the floor, unable to protect himself against the sudden, vicious attack. Clark Kent and Jimmy Olsen are on their way to the candy store. But the question now is, will they get there in time to save the poor old man from a horrible beating? Be sure to listen tomorrow for Chapter 1 of the most exciting racket-busting story you have ever heard on The Adventures of Superman.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, The Adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday at this same time by Kellogg's Pep, the Super Cereal. This program came from New York. Stay tuned now for Captain Midnight, which follows in a moment. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.